Minute Maid Park in Houston, Texas. Comcast Sportsnet Houston brings you Houston Astros baseball. Tonight it's Game 2 of the season. The Astros take on the New York Yankees. Good evening, everybody. Bill Brown, Alan Ashby, Julia Morales with you for the second game. The first one couldn't have gone much better for the Astros, Ash.
About as perfect as you could possibly draw it up. The last week of the spring, very good for the ball club. Got the bats going, and the bats were going early. And I think that oftentimes can be a big boost for your pitching staff.
Well, it was a very aggressive Astros team in several different aspects, as we see.
Well, no doubt about it. And you look at some of the numbers. First pitch, I think Major League hitters tend to do well. So that really slots in 3 for 4 on first pitch if you're not into that sort of thing. But the club was successful with a dinger. That 1-0 count. The pitcher falls behind, take advantage. Yeah, 1-1, still 2 for 3 in the game with a dinger. And then 2-0 coming up with a double. So they hit in good counts, and they did well with it.
Here's the way it looked as far as the footage went. Dexter Fowler with a couple of doubles in this game.
Nice to see that leadoff man, the guy you're counting on over the season. A couple of early doubles. Jose Altuve really filled where the team says it wants to be aggressive. He was all over and winds up scoring on this play. Jose Altuve with a couple of RBI hits, hitting in an RBI slot, and then Jesus Guzman with the team's first home run of the year. The first pitch he sees in an Astros uni. Very exciting for Bo Porter and company.
Coming up tonight on the mound, it's Jared Cosart trying to follow suit with Scott Feldman's fine effort last night. Julia Morales has more on Jared and his second season coming your way next.
Park Game 2 of the season between the Astros and Yankees. And last night, the Astros getting a look at their new starter, Scott Feldman, throwing 6 2/3 scoreless innings. They liked what they saw there. And we'll get to see Jared Cosart tonight. These two guys on the front end of the starting rotation. See Feldman, Cosart, and then behind them will be lefty Brett Oberholzer. And that third spot, Lucas Harrell, and then Dallas Keuchel. Also, Jared Cosart on the mound tonight, like I was saying, and making his first appearance on an opening day roster. Cosart, a very bright spot in this tough season that they had 2013. He was called up in July, and he faced the Rays in his debut, taking a no-hitter into the 7th. Evan Longoria comparing his cutter to that one of Mariano Rivera. So impressive stuff there, especially by the numbers. 10 major league starts, a 1.95 ERA, led the AL in ERA during that time. But there were some numbers that were cause for concern. He walked 2 more batters than he struck out. You see the strikeout to 9 innings there is a little high. And then the fielding independent pitching numbers, like an ERA, that's pretty high at 4 there. So some of the numbers cause for concerns, and lots of articles written about this over the offseason. And Cosart very well aware of the numbers he needs to work on getting those walks down. And it kind of got onto him a little bit on the negative side there. It was disappointing for him to read, but he wanted to make sure that people knew that it was just fueling the fire. He was using it to work even harder and to show that he would be a starter in this rotation this year, as he is, and he would be a good piece of this rotation as this Astro team moves forward. So we'll see what he does tonight. Coming up, Cosart facing the Yankees for the very first time, and the Astros trying to go 2-0 on the season. We'll have first pitch and lineups after the break.
It is just about time for baseball, and this game will be beginning momentarily. There's been a little rainstorm that's cropped up during batting practice, so the roof, which had been open, then was closed, and it looks dark out there in the distance. Meanwhile, the umpires at home plate will be taking in the lineup cards. Tony Pena, the bench coach, out for the Yankees with their card, and Bo Porter, who managed the Astros to their 6-2 opening day win last night, has their lineup card. So the Yankees, who had not lost a game at Minute Maid Park in their first 6, did fall behind and lose that game last night. And the Astros off to a very fine start in a lot of different respects last night. There's Brian McCann getting loose for New York. Andy Pettitte, former Yankee and Astro lefty, threw out the first pitch tonight after being involved in pregame ceremonies honoring Derek Jeter. And the Astros gave him some very nice gifts, including golf. A few nights at a golf resort owned by Jim Crane in Florida, a golf bag, They had some PGA golfers there, as well as Derek Jeter is honored. He'll be playing his final game in Houston tomorrow night. Roger Clemens, Andy Pettitte there, and great-looking cowboy boots with the number 2 on the match.
I wonder if those have golf spikes on the bottom. I'm not really sure. I've never seen anybody play that way, but Derek Jeter could probably pull it off.
Mike Stanton, who was involved in our pregame show with Marius Payton, also a former teammate of Jeter, so it was a nice reunion for those guys as they get to pass along their best to Jeter in person before he leaves town after tomorrow night. The Yankees moving on to their next stop, Toronto. It's been an illustrious career, including 5 World Series championships for Jeter in his time in New York. This is his 20th season. He will go in the Hall of Fame, of course, after this illustrious career.
Well, simply one of the best, and a great leader on his ball club. The Yankees, time after time, with Jeter as their shortstop into the postseason, and he has been just stellar when it comes to World Series.
Jeter would love to have one more World Series celebration before taking off the pinstripe uniform. And on the all-time hit list, 3,316. And a chance to move up with the next few hits into the number 9 spot. Here's the starting lineup for Jeter's Yankees tonight. Jacoby Ellsbury leads it off in center field. It's Jeter at shortstop. It's Carlos Beltran in right field. Brian McCann's the catcher. Mark Teixeira plays first base with DH Alfonso Soriano hitting behind him. Then in the 7th spot, it's left fielder Brett Gardner batting 8th. Second baseman Brian Roberts. Kelly Johnson bats 9th at third base. And the pitcher is Hiroki Kuroda.
On the mound for the Astros, it is Jared Cosart. Second season now, first time he has broken spring training with the ball club. He's got just that great mid-90s and even plus fastball and a little cutter to go with it. He's only 23 years of age. Control is a big issue. More walks than strikeouts a year ago. Hard to believe he didn't pick up more strikeouts with the great stuff. But I'll tell you what, I would project him as a legit, I'll personally go beyond mid-rotation guy. This is a guy who could be top of the rotation.
We've seen some different wrinkles this spring from Jared Cosart. A little bit lower hand position at the start after his 1-1 season with a 1.95 ERA. Far from resting on his laurels, he has attempted to get better this spring by putting his hands down around waist level when he gets started, as you see there, and trying to get on top of that ball a little bit more, which could affect his cutter and make it a more controllable pitch for him, Ash.
Spring training is spring training, but check in with the Washington Nationals, who Cosart faced recently, and he just shut him down in 5 innings. No hits, no runs against him, 9 strikeouts. And that's the Jared Cosart I would like to see. Obviously, all of us would this year, but a guy who strikes out more hitters.
See the lower hand position on the left this year compared to those hands up around face level last year. And he's facing the plate more. He's turned a little bit now on the rubber. Try to get the footwork together with the changed hand position, get on top of the baseball more, and make it easier to throw strikes. So now we'll see how it all plays out under the big glare of Major League Baseball as Ellsbury leads it off. Jacoby 0 for 4 in last night's game. The first pitch is strike 1. Cosart grew up in the Houston area, and he was a big Astros fan, but he had a desire to pitch against the New York Yankees, and now this is the first time he has done that in his career. When he was 7, the Yankees were the reigning World Series champions in 1997. That's another ambition of his, to pitch in Yankee Stadium.
That first pitch fastball at the knees, outside edge, reminiscent of the debut in St. Petersburg, Florida last year against Tampa Bay. A good club, and he just shut him down.
He's 23 years old, born in League City. He went to Clear Creek High School. Drafted by the Phillies in 08. The Astros got him in a trade in July of 2011. Hunter Pence deal. That one floats up, and he's thrown that slow curveball throughout the spring with good success, especially that game against Washington, in which he threw 5 perfect innings against the Nationals in Vieira. He struck out 9 and walked none with the big curveball.
That curveball was the key to the 9 strikeouts.
This one's tapped to second base for Jose Altuve. And there's out number 1 for Cosart.
Defensively for the Astros tonight, Go around the outfield left to right. Robbie Grossman, Dexter Fowler, and Alex Presley gets his first start now in right field. Around the infield, Matt Dominguez and Jonathan Villar on the left side. They were good last night. Jose Altuve and Mark Krause gets the start against the right-hander. Jason Castro behind the dish. And, of course, Jared Cosart with the leather on the hill.
A nice touch now as Jeter gets ready to come into the box, and the Astros come out of the dugout to pay tribute to him. That is a very rare happening during a Major League Baseball game. He has one more game here tomorrow night, but he was honored before this game. And now he said something before getting in that box. Kind of tough to get back in and hit after an occasion like that.
I would think going through this final season of his career could be challenging in this regard of you're kind of off your preparation mode all the time.
Jeter was 1 for 3 in last night's game. There's strike one to him. He's played 2,603 regular season games. Only one of those involving the Yankees being mathematically eliminated from postseason contention, September 26th of 08. Can you imagine that? 19 years.
He's played with some good teammates, no doubt, but they've played with one of the best. Good looking curveball. That could be such a strikeout weapon. It also sets up his great fastball.
He needs 2 more hits to tie Paul Molitor for 8th place on the all-time list. 4th place on the all-time American League list. Fastball stands him up a little bit. Last night he was hit by that pitch the first time up, and he does dive into the pitch. Scott Feldman nicked him on the left forearm last night.
I think one number that might go unappreciated on Derek Jeter, the 256 career home runs, maybe a bit of a surprise for a shortstop.
That one spins him out of there, and it's 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Jeter's got to be thinking right about now the Astros must have a game plan to come up and in.
Can you imagine being Jared Cosart, 23 years old, and 10 major league starts? Now he's up there spinning around Derek Jeter. That one's out of play, and this is what Jeter does so well. He battles with 2 strikes in the count. Great opposite field approach.
To your point, Brownie, I think a lot of pitchers, youngsters or veterans, are intimidated about coming in hard on a guy of this ilk. There aren't many.
Absolutely. Hits that one foul. 13-time All-Star.
Rookie of the Year back in 1996. Been in the All-Star voting, the MVP voting numerous times over his career.
5 Gold Gloves for Derek Jeter. All-time leader in postseason hits. Oh, that was close.
Ah, that's a pretty good looking pitch. And it doesn't hurt to be Derek Jeter when you take that pitch. Let's see where this one winds up. Castro brings it back just a fraction.
Phil Cuzzy's a home plate umpire. Now full count for Jeter. And it's grounded to Altuve, down on a knee. Cosart wins that battle. 2 outs.
We talked last night about Jeter being such an exceptional opposite field hitter. He took a fastball that was intended for that inside edge once again. It was in that vicinity and still turns it around with the barrel on it. You see how he does it. He drops the barrel of the bat, and that creates a very nice angle to utilize the entire field.
Now 2 outs, and it's Carlos Beltran, the former Astro, who made his 14th career opening day roster last night, and he was 1 for 4 in that game. As the Yankees' new right fielder, Curtis Granderson among those, who is no longer with the Yankees. Ball 1 to Carlos.
Ideal looking pitch.
It's in for a strike, and it's a 1-ball, 1-strike count. With the curveball, Cosart can offer different speeds to the hitter. 284 lifetime for Beltran against Houston.
We talked about the Astros bats doing well when ahead in the count last night. That 1-0 curveball can serve a lot.
Roll to first base where Mark Krause has it, and it's a 1-2-3. 3 ground ball out first for Cosart. Now the Astros, who got 4 in the first last night, come with Fowler, Grossman, and Castro in just a moment. Comcast Sportsnet's presentation of Houston Astros baseball is brought to you by Jack in the Box. Try the new Bacon Insider at the Jack in the Box near you. It's got bacon mixed right into the patty at participating restaurants. No score in this one. The Yankees went out 1-2-3. The Astros lineup card is presented by Jack in the Box, and we see Dexter Fowler leading it off in center field. Bobby Grossman's in left field. Jason Castro, the catcher, bats third. The cleanup man is Jose Altuve. He's batted cleanup 3 times in his career prior to this game tonight. Chris Carter's the DH, with Mark Krause getting his first action at first base. Matt Dominguez at third. Alex Presley also into the action for the first time as an Astro at right field. Jonathan Villar, the shortstop, adds 9.
On the mound for the Yankees, he's a veteran. He's 40 years of age. I guess that qualifies as a veteran. Last year, 11-13, a great first 24 starts. He was brilliant, 11-7 in that span. Final 8 starts, not so good. ERA up over 6.5. But you can see when it all washed out, and a whip of 116. So he's very good and went on his game. Extremely tough. The Yankees did all they could to get him back in the fold for this season.
And it took $16 million on a 1-year deal to do it.
Been a free agent twice since joining the Yankees.
Dexter Fowler had a pair of doubles last night and roamed center field very well. Aggressive base running helped him to his second double. There's ball 1 to Fowler. Fowler had an excellent on-base average last year. He lashes this one high toward the Astros bullpen, way back in right center field. Leadoff bomb for Dexter Fowler. Number 1 as an Astro, and a quick 1-0 lead as the Astros get their third long ball of the young season.
I think he's having some fun right about now. Drove that bomb to center last night for the first of the 2 doubles, and now just launches a fastball. Bo Porter looks like he's impressed.
First leadoff homer by an Astro since Jose Altuve in 2012 against the Cubs off Travis Wood.
Take that, baseball. Well, if you're into the sort of thing of having a power guy as your leadoff man, then I guess it's working out pretty well.
Well, just about every manager would be into that sort of thing. And there's ball 1 to Robbie Grossman. It was 0 for 4 last night. There's some thunder. Nice slugging percentage to start the season for Fowler, with 2 doubles and a homer now in his first 5 at bats. There's a strike, and that makes it 1-1. The Astros, with their 4-run first last night, did something they did only 3 times all of last year, with 4 or more in the first inning. Fowler has given them another first inning tally very quickly.
He's becoming the reincarnation of the splendid Splinter.
1 ball, 2 strikes as Kuroda tries to get his legs underneath him. That was something Sabathia had a major problem doing last night. CeCe giving up 4 in the first, 2 in the second, but then he wound up going 6. And last year at home, quite a difference compared to road. 7-3 at home with a 235. On the road, 4-10 with a 4.05 for Kuroda. And that one had some diving action for Robbie Grossman. And the tag was missed, so the throw goes down to first on a strikeout from 2-3.
Defensively for the Yankees tonight, behind Kuroda on the hill. We'll look at the outfield first. Brett Gardner, Jacoby Ellsbury, and Carlos Beltran. That's some speed in the pastures. Kelly Johnson at third. Derek Jeter, of course, in short. Brian Roberts and Mark Teixeira on the right side. Brian McCann is the catcher for Kuroda.
Jason Castro last night was the cleanup hitter. Only the second catcher in Astros history to bat 4th on opening day. Milt May did it against the Braves in '75. He went 1 for 4 and drove in a run. Infield shifted around on Jason, and he got a broken bat hit against this shift last night. He just hit the ball by the pitcher and it trickled out to Jeter at shortstop. The way the Yankees do the shifting is interesting. They leave Jeter as their only infielder between second and third, and they move the third baseman Kelly Johnson out there in right field. He's actually to Jeter's left, and then Roberts is out in right. But watching the Tiger game today, they had this sort of a shift too, and they put their third baseman out where Roberts is. They put him in shallow right field today. Actually, there are different ways of doing it. There's Johnson.
I think the personnel can dictate, and Kelly Johnson has primarily been a second baseman in his career, so I think it's a natural fit.
That one bounces up there. It's a 1 ball, 2 strike count now.
Kelly Johnson also versatile. He's played in the outfield, obviously as a third baseman.
And he did pull the ball on his direction of outfield hits last year more often than he went the other way or to center.
That was ribbing Castro about that base hit you talked about last night. The little golf shot that he dropped in the infield grass. Very impressive stuff. And he said, yeah, it was the big grunt he dropped out there while he was swinging that forced the infield backward.
Kuroda shoots for a corner and misses. And the count runs to 2-2.
Don't get used to taking that pitch with 2 strikes.
Kuroda began his career in Los Angeles. He's won 68 games and lost 70 as a major leaguer with a 3.40 ERA. Last year, a tough luck season, as you noted. If you saw that ERA, 3.31, but that went with a losing record of 11-13 as he got a lack of run support. It's crank foul. But Kuroda had 22 consecutive scoreless innings against Houston until a few minutes ago, and Fowler ended that. And in his career against the Astros, he is 4-0 with a 1.39 ERA.
It's a nice thing about having a bunch of guys new on your ball club. They've never faced this guy as part of this group. They have no idea that this guy has flat out dominated your club.
That's a good point. So Girardi in his 7th year as Yankee skipper. Well, he has very quickly moved up on the win list by Yankee skippers. He's 6th on their all-time managerial victory list. As a major league player, he had 267, was a good contact hitter, an excellent receiver as a catcher. Not much of a home run hitter. Castro takes the walk. Joe, the cerebral sort from Northwestern. He's led the Yankees to 3 AL East division titles and a World Series championship. That was in '09. Last year, he did an excellent job. The Yankees finished out of the playoffs for only the 2nd time in the last 19 years, 85 and 77. But He had a ton of injuries. Now after Castro's walk, here's Altuve. 2 for 4 last night with 2 runs batted in for Jose. So you think about small cleanup hitters. And you think about who might be in Altuve's company in that regard. Usually the cleanup hitter's a big husky sort. Altuve has done it 3 times before in his career. Joe Morgan listed at 5'7", hit cleanup.
I think right there he looks like the big husky type.
Batting average is pretty husky. This one in the air, and Ellsbury comes in center with the running play. Castro back to first on out number 2.
Get a little glimpse of the speed and the jump that Ellsbury is famous for in playing center field. Of course, up until now doing it with the Boston Red Sox. He reacts extremely well. In terms of going and getting a baseball, maybe as good as anybody in the game.
Ellsbury should really be helpful if he can stay healthy, and that has been the big issue in his career. Chris Carter was 1 for 4 in last night's game. Lays off that one, ball 1. The right side of the infield is wide open to him.
Is this the year that Chris Carter figures out how to let it fly right here at Minute Maid Park? He had his struggles last year.
Do you have a reason for that?
None. None whatsoever. I imagine if you get off to a bad start at home and the fans get on you, that it can be troublesome over the course of the year. I didn't sense that to be the case last year, though.
He didn't have a reason for it.
It's such an odd game from year to year. Stats can completely mirror each other when you look even from one year to the next.
2 balls, no strikes to Carter. 82 runs batted in for Chris. Led the club last year.
Well, you look at what the Cardinals did last year, hitting with runners in scoring position. I don't remember the exact figure, but well over 300. You think they can match that this year as a club?
No, sir.
I don't see how they can even come close to that figure.
2 balls and a strike. And a lot of the stat mavens have run the numbers, various hitters down through the years. And the general conclusion most have made is that it's unpredictable what somebody's going to hit with men in scoring position. You'll have a lot of differences in the numbers from year to year. Grounds at foul third base side, and it's 2 balls, 2 strikes. So the Astros forcing Kuroda to go to 19 pitches so far here in the first inning.
Sometimes you look at those guys who drive in 100+ runs a year and you say, well, they must be really good with runners in scoring position. But be careful, because what they are is they're good at putting the ball in play. And maybe that ground ball with the infield playing back, or just simply a fly ball, not always about the base hit.
Very good point. And they might be on teams with a whole lot of men on base. Carter checked his swing. The appeal went down to first. There's the call by Brian Knight. It's 3-2 now for Chris. So with 2 outs, Castro automatically will be running, and Teixeira has signaled to Kuroda he's going to play behind the runner.
Chris Carter last year had a tough time with this pitch, down out of the strike zone, maybe off the outside edge. This didn't appear to be a breaking ball. Kuroda really has a little cutter and a splitter that he flips up there.
They're going, and there's a fly ball to left field. Gardner measures it for out number 3. Leadoff homer, Dexter Fowler. Astros 1, Yankees 0.
top of the second, and it's time for you to tweet your photo using hashtag AstrosFanPhoto for a chance to have it shown in an upcoming game telecast. It's the Astros fan photo brought to you by AT&T. Jared Cosart getting back to work here in the second, who worked on a lot of things this spring, but he said he feels really good where he is right now. It's all a work in progress. Brownie was talking earlier about his hand positioning, bringing it down a little bit lower. It's something pitching coach Brett Strom was working with him, and it's supposed to help with command and momentum. I was talking to catcher Jason Castro about this. He said it's a way for him to have more command, and he notices it more with his cutter. It's not cutting as much, but it is something he can control better. He can be more repetitive with that cutter, and neither one really knew exactly how much cut the ball would have last year. Like I said, it's all a work in progress, but he feels really good about where it's going, Brownie.
Thank you, Julia. Now Brian McCann with the infield, shifting him to pull on the ground. 1 for 4 last night, and he gets in. And that's a good pitch on the inside corner for Cosart. Strike one to McCann. McCann, a very strong hitter. Yankee fans are salivating over what he might do this year. They didn't get much from their catchers last year. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Power numbers, RBIs down for the Yankees, but McCann's got a chance to really turn that into a positive offensive position.
Boy, he's doing a marvelous job of mixing things up. Just missed a strikeout there, Ash.
Looks like a, at least so far, tight looking strike zone. Legitimate, and a lot of times those corners will open up as the game goes on.
Another curveball tapped to first base. Krause with the toss to Cosart. So it's a little bit different Cosart than we saw last year.
Well, the curveball is a much bigger part of the repertoire right now. That curveball back in the spring against Washington, again, the 9 strikeout effort over 5 innings. Just dominant. And it appears to be, though contact is being made here this evening, it's dominant in the ground ball sense.
Has 4 ground ball outs. Not much contact in that game against the Nationals.
This stuff is so good. That was the changeup. We don't see that pitch much. If he starts developing that thing, I would call it a Class A repertoire.
Mark Teixeira, the batter. He was 2 for 3 with an RBI last night. Not as in Class A baseball, but
no. In fact, it's well above that level.
Well, you know, give Jared Cosart credit for trying to improve. And you know, you might see improvement that's not reflected in a pitcher's ERA, which was 1.95 for 10 starts. So, you know, a lot of young pitchers who had compiled that kind of an ERA for the first 10 major league starts might not think they need to improve.
Well, that's implying that there have been a lot of guys who have done that. I mean, those were awfully good numbers.
That's a good point. 1 and 2. Well, for instance, his ERA was 5th best in the majors among pitchers with at least 50 innings between July 12th and September 9th last year.
Had some rather elite company in the process.
Jose Fernandez, Joe Kelly, Zach Greinke, Dylan G. Good looking pitch, caught him looking. What a start. A buzzsaw kind of a start for Cosart.
You know, and you mentioned Jose Fernandez. If you start somehow lumping this name, Jared Cosart, in with that of Jose Fernandez, and you may well by midseason this year, based on what I feel watching the stuff, could be talking about 2 of the not only outstanding young pitchers in the game, but just say pitchers in the game.
Alfonso Soriano was 0 for 4 last night. He gets a first pitch curve. Well, I think we're seeing a lot more polish than we saw from the young right-hander last year, Ash.
Completely agree. That curveball is under command right now. Ooh.
It's 0-2.
Not by the hitters. That was a strikeout curveball. That wasn't the one you loop right through the heart of the plate. I would like to see a handful or more of the changeups throughout the night.
Fastball fouled away.
Especially in those 1-0, 2-1, 3-1 kind of counts. 3-1 a little more dicey, but where a hitter's just looking dead fastball, trying to jump on it.
Well, this could be a spot for it. He has some room to play with the pitch. just off the plate. That pitch cut away from Soriano a little bit. 1-2. You saw the late movement that Jared can get. And that was at 96.
A la Mariano Rivera. Kenley Jansen with the Dodgers. Same kind of pitch.
Got in on him. Boy, I'll tell you, he is putting on a pitching clinic through the first two. They're perfect. And he's in front 1-0.
Something new this year, in-game live, and we are enhancing our broadcast with it. Howard Chin will be helping us out with that on the broadcast. There he is out in the Crawford boxes. Howard, tell us a little bit more about in-game live.
All right, Julia, I'll tell you what, we're enhancing the experience big time for the viewer. I usually love to watch games with Twitter. Now, if you go to csnhouston.com, notably ingameastros.csnhouston.com, we have this thing called In-Game Live that's brought to you by Comcast Business. And if you're a stat guy like me, when you were a little kid, probably looking on the back of those baseball cards, there's more stats on this website than you'd ever believe. Whether it's sweet spots where the balls are going to be hit to, whatever a statistician wants, it's all there. InGameAstros.CSNHouston.com. You can also vote for your player of the game, so please do so. All the stats by Bloomberg. It's great stuff. CSNHouston.com. Back to you, Julia.
We've got to vote for player of the game already. Somebody I have in mind, Brownie.
Mark Krause grounds to first base on the first pitch. His first at bat of 2014. Do you know who's voting for player of the game? You're voting for Jared?
Oh, I didn't say that.
I think she's an offensive-minded gal.
I'm trying not to jinx anyone over here, Brownie.
Okay. You know, there's no jinxing in baseball.
But I will be voting every night.
You know, I wanted to ask you something, Julia.
Mm-hmm.
You're a veteran of many Major League games. How does Howard Chen get an office like that out there?
Right? It's a nice little office. He's got a table. The setup's great. He's just got to watch out for those home runs that are going to be hit his way.
Matt Dominguez 0 for 4 last night. And that moves into the strike zone. Look at this office.
Yeah, he's hiding his beverages under the table there.
It's a man with tenure. No balls, 2 strikes for Hiroki Kuroda. His ERA was hit by a train after the first half of the season last year. He really had it going early. And then the only explanation we've been getting for his finish was he was tired.
Got to get your sleep during the course of the year.
Boy, 1-2.
Well, it's a drain, as we all know, on the body, on the arm for these pitchers, and he's been a workhorse.
Off the plate, 2-2. Dominguez works his way back into the count. Kuroda In his first 24 starts last year was 11-7 with a 2.33 ERA. After that, 0-6 with a 6.56. In his last 8 starts with a 3.16 opponent's batting average. Dominguez now has worked the count full after falling behind 0-2. Kuroda was 4-10 on the road. The 10 road losses tied him with John Lackey and Edwin Jackson for the most in the majors. Third 3-ball count of the night for Kuroda at 27 pitches. That's strike 3. Strikeout number 2.
You know, you watch a guy like Kuroda, not overpowering with the fastball, spots it well, moves it around. But what you see, for example, that 3-2 pitch right there, he goes to the splitter, which he can throw for a called strike. Now, most hitters are not going to be quite that open-minded, at least early in a ball game. You're looking for the fastball, trying to juice it.
Among Japanese-born starters, Yu Darvish has a lower ERA, slightly lower than Kuroda, who is second. Alex Presley now, his first at-bat as an Astro. Acquired very late in spring training on a waiver claim from Minnesota. Formerly with the Pirates. He fouls that one for strike 1. L.J. Hose, who's in a platoon with Alex Presley in right field to open the season, had a big night last night with his second major league homer. He also drew a walk. He's watching Presley go to work now alongside Mark Krause. Presley, a good contact hitter, patrols the outfield well, can play all 3 outfield positions, and the Astros thought so highly of him. 264 career batting average, has a very good minor league average, so has shown that potential. And they really wanted to add him to their club at the expense of a second lefty reliever.
That's some good splittage right there.
Masahiro Tanaka has a great split finger fastball as well. He will start the 4th game of the year for New York.
All eyes should be on him, a guy who was 24-0 last year in Japan. That was not a typo.
Neither was the dollar figure on the jet he chartered to bring his traveling party from Japan to the U.S.
Let's see, let's fly in and get ourselves a 787. I think the traveling party was under 10, if I recall right. I think it was just under 200 grand. Yeah.
Well, stretch out, enjoy.
I guess you get to order whatever you want to eat on that flight.
Plenty of room. That's high for a ball, and it's 3-2 to Presley, so the Astros get another full count here. It's their 4th of the night so far. Last year, Presley was the opening day starter for the Pirates, who went on to reach the playoffs for the first time in many years. And he slaps that one out of play. Astros, the last time they went 2-0 out of the gate was in 2003.
Yeah, opening night is always so exciting for everybody. But everybody puts too much stock in a win or a loss on that given night.
Line shot to right field. Carlos Beltran over. Traveled the lights and caught it for a 1-2-3 second, and it's 1-0 Astros.
The game is brought to you by Comcast Business. We take a look now at Jared Cosart's lefty-righty split from last year. And you can see right-hand hitters did awfully well, much too well. 289 the batting average, and you see the other figures, 398 on-base percentage. Very surprising that they were able to do that against a guy that throws this hard from the right side with the cutter. The cutter is the yellow figures that you see right in the heart of the zone, and because those pitches were right in the heart of the zone, hitters did very well. The lefties got sawed off, much like lefties through the years have done against Mariano Rivera. But Jared Cosart showing so far this evening an ability to hit the edges and doing it very well. To track how Jared Cosart and the rest of the team does tonight, log on to ingamesastros.csnhouston.com.
2 perfect innings to start. In his major league debut, he had a no-hitter through 6 at Tampa Bay. Brett Gardner leads it off. 0 for 3 last night. All one way outside. That was one exciting night for Ash and Jeff Blum in Tampa Bay. And then he became the first pitcher in Astros history to toss 8 scoreless innings in his debut.
Next day was All-Star break. Everybody was kind of excited about a chance to take a breather. But wow, what a night that turned into with Jared Cosart.
He had a high ground ball to fly ball ratio last year. 2.33 ground balls for every fly ball. Strike. And it's 2-1.
He is not upsetting that card here this evening.
Not at all. He did not allow a homer last year in his first 44 innings in the majors, and through 10 starts compiled those numbers. It's 3-1. And a lot of focus, as we saw from the earlier article, and Julia explained, has been on his 35 walks compared to 33 strikeouts.
Yeah, I don't know how Jared possibly only had 33 strikeouts with his kind of stuff. It's electric. Quite honestly, I'm maybe not overly surprised that he walked more than he should have at 35, but the strikeout figure just, it perplexes me.
That's a foul ball. Only one other pitcher who made at least 10 starts last year walked more batters than he struck out. Jake Westbrook. He walked 50 and struck out 44. But hard to argue with the success that Cosart had.
Westbrook more of that sinker slider kind of a pitcher that gets the ground balls, and so you can see why strikeouts would be down.
Good point. Struck him out looking. Number 2.
Well, Brett Gardner didn't like the call, apparently. Let's take our peek. Play umpire here. That fastball appears to be right there for me.
It wasn't high.
Don't be taking that one.
Last night, Scott Feldman did not give up a hit until 1 out in the 4th inning. And he had only allowed 1 base runner in the first 3. Now Brian Roberts. Roberts was 0 for 3 in that game last night. That's strike 1.
That's kind of a grooved fastball. You'd like to stay away from that a bit, but sometimes that first pitch, you're simply counting on a hitter, trying to get deeper in the count, get ahead if you can.
It's 0-2. Mick Kelleher, the Yankee first base coach, tossed that foul ball up to a fan. That was an electric crowd here last night. 42,117. Saw the rousing opening day win for the Astros. They did a lot of things very well. 1-2. These folks got here early to see Derek Jeter honored on the field. Tomorrow night, the finale of the 3-game series. Same game time as tonight. That's a ball, and that makes it 2-2. And tomorrow night, it's Brett Oberholzer and Ivan Nova doing the pitching. And then the Angels come in Thursday night, or Friday night rather, to open a 4-game series, which concludes Monday afternoon. There's Oberholzer. It's out toward the gap in right center field and in for a hit, fielded by Presley. A 1-out single by Roberts.
First hit of the night for the Yankees comes on that curveball, and a good one, down around, maybe even below the knees. So Jared Cosart, nothing to feel bad about. Watch this breaking ball. Well, right down around the knees, you can see the glove of Castro reaching to glove this one. They make a good pitch, you give up a base hit. Major league hitters do it.
Roberts aboard for Kelly Johnson. He was 1 for 4 in last night's game, and that was a double. He played with the Tampa Bay Rays last year, 118 games for Kelly Johnson, formerly with the Braves. He started to swing there and checked on appeal to Jerry Davis. That's ball 1. Johnson's played second and third in the major leagues. He came up as a shortstop as well. Roberts started towards second, and he was just bluffing. There's a slow roller, Altuve to his left with the toss over to Krause. 2 outs with Roberts advancing. And another ground ball out. Got a question for you about the cut fastball. Cosart. It moves a little bit. It's kind of a late sideways movement, right?
Yep.
So that might be a pitch that a pitcher wouldn't want to throw right-hander to right-hander, depending on where he started it. He'd want to start it probably over the outside corner rather than, if he started it over the middle, it might move right to the barrel of the bat, right?
Certainly a possibility. My knee-jerk reaction is see Mariano Rivera and career success against right-hand hitters, because Mariano threw that kind of a pitch. Now, a little larger than what we're seeing from Cosart tonight. But last year, there were times when I thought, boy, that pitch looks just like what Rivera has thrown over the years.
Ellsbury gets a curveball for strike 1.
What a great starter pitch. Yeah, I don't really have an explanation, and we'll see if it plays out that way this year for Jared Cosart. The numbers were large enough that you had to put some stock in them from last year.
It's in the dirt. Castro keeps it close, and it's a 1-ball, 1-strike count. VR coming in with the runner at second base. Astros have come out with their rosters of the minor league clubs who will begin play in the next few days. Once again, the system is stacked with minor league talent. Arcapel, Carlos Correa, Rio Ruiz, and several other top names will be at Lancaster. 2 balls and a strike. Look at this talent. We were impressed with Fultonevich in spring training. He'll be at AAA Oklahoma City, as will Dominguez Santana. You see DeShields at Corpus, Correa at Lancaster, Rappel at Lancaster, and of course George Springer will be again at Oklahoma City. He wound up last season there.
Fultonevich, by the way, a starting pitcher working at AAA.
That's a strike call. 2-2 to Ellsbury.
All the while, he's aware that he could become a closer type in the big leagues, talking about Fultonevich. But he wants to be a starter given the opportunity. But he is also wide open to whatever it takes to help this Astros club.
The Astros once again will use the piggyback starts in the minor leagues, at least for the first few weeks of the season, as they did last year. That's grounded foul. And what that is taking 2 starting pitchers and having them share a game. They'll do that to get them stretched out to where they can add more innings, and then will allow one starting pitcher to take over and work deeper into the games, maybe 5 weeks or so into a season. It limits the total innings pitched by these minor league pitchers, and they were very healthy last year throughout the season by doing it that way.
Well, the big league club for the Astros quite healthy over the course of the year, compared to some clubs that just get devastated. And the Astros were fortunate.
47 pitches for Jared Cosart. As Barry looks at it. Ooh. Wow. 3-2. All eyes were on Phil Cuzzi.
Well, it wasn't just Jared Cosart wanting that pitch. Jason Castro thought it was strike 3. Wow. That's about as tight a cornered plate as you'll ever see.
3-2 pitch coming now for Cosart. And the curveball got a swing and a foul ball. Very effective weapon.
Jared Cosart actually maintained his composure quite well on the hill. Jason Castro appeared to have just a little conversation with Cuzzi after taking a step toward the dugout, probably saying, hey, sorry, I thought it was a strike. Never want to get that relationship, catcher and umpire, going ugly early in a game.
It's a fly ball to left, and Bobby Grossman puts it away. No runs a hit and a man left. 1-0 Houston.
In 2014, every Thursday home game is $1 Hot Dog Thursday, presented by HEB. Come to Minute Maid Park on Thursdays and scarf down all the $1 dogs you can eat all game long. Visit Astros.com or call 1-877-9-ASTROS for more info. Brown.
Julia, have you sampled the Nolan Ryan beef hot dogs in this ballpark this year?
I had the sausage, which was excellent.
Okay.
And but I haven't had a hot dog yet. I've been waiting.
Well, it's only game number 2.
Right.
So our mission is to sample all the new food items by the end of this homestand. Do you think we can get it
Ooh,
done?
by the end of the homestand. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm up for the challenge.
I want to know what Julia's waiting for.
I did get to sample some. I guess it was a few days before the season started. They had the media out to try out some of the new food items they had. Good stuff.
Now Jonathan Villar leads off. 1-0 Houston. He was 1 for 3 in last night's game. Little chop. It's fielded by McCann. Throws him out.
You know, you get a chance to look at all kinds of things in this game as Brian McCann makes a nice play on that little chopper from VR. Dexter Fowler appears to be that leadoff guy for the Astros, and through 1+ ball games to this point, he has been brilliant. Last year, 4 of the 5 teams that had the best leadoff man numbers made it to postseason play. Only the Brewers in that batch did not get into the postseason, but the Reds, Shin-Soo Choo, just great numbers, on base percentages right there. And Dexter Fowler would love to be on that 5-team list next year and maybe leading the Astros in that direction.
Strike 1 to Fowler, who ripped a leadoff homer in the first inning. In his career, he's been hitting in the leadoff spot 65% of the time. It's 1-1. We haven't heard of any plan for Bo Porter other than Fowler as the leadoff man for this team.
And I don't think there are any panicky let's change it modes going on right now.
Well, Bo has been asked about this lineup, and he has explained it to the media. He likes Fowler and Grossman because of their ability to get on base, batting first and second. Then Castro batting third tonight against a right-hander, Cosart, so he could get one extra plate appearance, we'll say, compared to Altuve, who hits behind him. And that's the lineup he would want against a right-hander. He flips it against the lefty, as we saw last night. And there you see the breakdown of the leadoff hitters last year. Grossman did it 55 times, then VR 36, Altuve 33, and Barnes 24. So that was a revolving door, as you know, Bo pointed out at the time all last season. He would be asked from one day to the next about lineups, and his stock answer was, we need to find out about these guys. Well, he found out a lot, and he said, I would much rather have a stable lineup. But I used last year to try to get some answers to help stabilize things for this year. And you see the low on base average for the Astros leadoff hitters. They were next to last in the majors. Fowler, if he does what he has done in his career, should improve that number quite a bit.
Well, I've never seen a club that was struggling that didn't make changes. You're always trying to find out, is there some way we can get better? That is, after all, what a manager does.
Fowler's career on base average is .365. Born in Atlanta, he was a first team high school All-America at Alpharetta, Georgia, in the suburb of Atlanta. Caps it foul, 28 years old.
The thing about those numbers that kind of grabs me is trying to figure out exactly who is Dexter Fowler away from Coors Field. Can he come up with that type of set of numbers now playing half of his games at Minute Maid Park? From what we've seen, appears to be no issue.
That one almost hit him. It's 2-2. Last year at Coors Field, he hit .311. And on the road, he hit .214.
Yeah, a huge difference in the batting average.
Rocks this one. Another deep drive to right center field. This one's going to take a long journey. And it comes up on Taos Hill. Fowler heads for third base. Ellsbury's throw stops right there. And it's a triple for Fowler. Well, he has a homer and a triple tonight. 2 doubles last night.
He has not figured out how to hit a single here at Minute Maid Park. And there's no need for him to figure it out. This is impressive stuff. He's driving the baseball. Both sides of the plate. Not a big guy. He's not what you would think of as a guy driving the baseball consistently like this, but obviously very strong and can certainly run.
He just glides around the bases. Now Robbie Grossman, runner at third, one out. Corner infielders in tight. There is strike one. Fowler had a monster month of April last year with the Rockies. Big run at stake right here with the Astros up 1-0. Both the Houston hits have come from their leadoff man. One's up tight to Grossman for a 1-1 strike count. One of the men for whom Fowler was traded, Jordan Lyles, is starting tonight for Colorado. Brandon Barnes the other. Lyles has given up 3 runs in 5 innings at Miami. And Colorado leads that game 6-3 now after 6.
Miami, a very favorable pitcher's park.
That's a good point. Lyles did not make the Rockies club out of spring training, but another pitcher went on the disabled list and he was just promoted. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Now Grossman fighting for contact. And it's ball 2. 2-2 to Robbie. For him, it's a particular thrill to talk with Craig Biggio before a ball game. Having grown up following the Astros, he and Cosart, both big Astros fans growing up and playing ball in the Houston area. Ground ball first. It's kicked by Teixeira, and the run will score. Teixeira is still down. He couldn't come up with a hop. Grossman with a ground ball too hot to handle. Fowler scores.
That ball was rocked. And Mark Teixeira has been one of the game's outstanding defensive first basemen for a long, long time. He goes down trying to make the sure thing play, but Robbie Grossman puts a little too much on it. In between hop has eaten up many an infielder.
And now it's a 2-0 game. Good sharp contact with 2 strikes in the count for Grossman, sending Fowler home to score. Now it's Castro batting. He walked on a 3-2 pitch first time up. It's ruled an error for Teixeira and could still be an RBI for Grossman. We'll check on that. Infield is shifted.
I think you'd have to give an RBI. Let's see if the runner is going on the play. Ball gets there very quickly, and yes, with the runner going, you can't anticipate that out call at the plate, I would imagine. So Robbie should get the ribby.
Teixeira threw wildly at home last night as Altuve scored a run. Pitch is up. Well, the Yankees did not perform well with their gloves in last night's game. Now McCann comes out after ball 1 from Kuroda. It is an RBI for Grossman, his first of the year. 50 pitches for the right-hander. Kuroda brought that 1.39 career ERA against the Astros into this game in 8 career starts. That was the 3rd lowest among pitchers who have made at least 8 starts against them, behind Tim Lincecum and Joe Gibbons. Grounded, and Teixeira watches it go to second. Roberts, and here's the return throw from Kelly Johnson. That makes it a double play as Johnson turns it from third. It goes 4-5-3. And the Astros settle for a 1-run on 1 hit with 1 error. We move to inning number 4. Bo Porter has come out. He may challenge the call here. And he's probably buying some time right here until he can get a signal from somebody on the Astros bench whether it should be challenged or not. He is not going to challenge it. And the score is 2-0 Astros after 3.
Top of the Yankees. Kids can join all the Astros fun this season with a Coca-Cola Astros Buddies Kid Club membership. Now available online. Access fun, exclusive experiences, and prizes throughout the season with a Buddies membership. Visit astros.com/buddies to register today.
We were watching Bo Porter at the end of that third inning on the double play, a rare 4-5-3 double play, as he went out to buy some time with first base umpire Brian Knight. This is the way many managers are playing it this year. They'll go out on the field. They'll take their time getting there. The umpires completely understand this is a part of the replay process. And there you see the red hat who's controlling the time during the commercial part of the evening until they're ready to start play again. Now he's got the green card up and it's time to go. And it's Derek Jeter stepping up in the fourth inning. But Bo is buying some time until the video replay process can take place in his own videotape room with Jim Summers here for home games. And Pete Patilla will provide the help on the road games. And they'll review the play and then call the bench, where that call will be received by the bench coach Dave Tremblay, and he will give a thumbs up, a thumbs down to Bo Porter on whether to challenge the play or not. We were talking before the game about when to challenge, because that is the key. And I was asking Dave Tremblay about it because Bruce Bochy ran into a problem last night. He challenged a call at first base and he didn't win. That was his one challenge that he was allowed in the first 6 innings.
And I think he may have been right on that challenge, but it was so close that it didn't get overturned. So he lost his challenge.
Yeah, and then the guy who was at first, who was diving back in on the pickoff throw for Arizona, wound up scoring a run, and the Giants lost by 1 when, in fact, he should have been called out at the plate. The umpire missed the call, but Bochy couldn't use a challenge. He had already used up his one challenge.
Kane made a terrific play, pitcher for the Giants at the plate. And, yeah, Giants should have gotten that out, and it turns out to be critical.
It was a great play by Matt Kane.
So you can still lose a ball game unjustly, even with this this replay system.
Sure can. When to use it, that could be critical in some of these games. Jeter hits a 3-1 pitch hard, right at Altuve. Boy, that was smashed for out number 1. Just a reminder, as you enjoy a cold one, to look forward to Miller time later in tonight's game. Brought to you by Miller Lite.
That type of ground ball hit by Derek Jeter indicates that he's on his game with the bat. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets red hot pretty soon, and everybody hoping that it's when he leaves town. Everybody but those guys.
Great representative for Major League Baseball down through the years, Derek Jeter. Carlos Beltran grounded out. First pitch curveball has really been a big pitch for Cosart tonight, Ash.
The more you gain confidence with that pitch, the more you have the ability to throw that pitch in any count.
And quite often, that pitch will be taken by the hitter.
I personally haven't known many guys in many situations who walk up to the plate first pitch looking breaking ball.
True.
Guys either look fastball or they look to take a pitch.
So it's a way for the pitcher to get in front. And all the statistics about what hitters do on 0-1 counts, very favorable to the pitcher. 1-2. The Oklahoma City Red Hawks with their roster, we showed you a few of the players. Springer, Foltynewicz, they'll have John Singleton there. Santana, we showed you. Max Stassi will be with that club. Pitcher Nick Tropiano, Jake Buchanan as well. They should have a strong team again this year.
Pretty stacked bunch. Yeah, it's going to be intriguing to see how they utilize the catching. Max Stassi, by all accounts, seems to be the next guy in line, but there's a load of very good catching in the organization.
And slipped on Cosart. And it's 3-2. Well, they'll have 3 catchers for the Red Hawks: Stassi, Carlos Perez, and Ryan McCurdy. And Jake Buchanan, Paul Clemens, Bobby Doran, Foltynewicz, David Martinez on that pitching staff, as well as Rudy Owens, Nick Tropiano, Colin McHugh. Curveball hit to center field. Fowler takes it away. 2 down.
Well, anybody that's knowledgeable about baseball watching Cosart so far this evening has to say kudos. This has been really good.
He's gotten in front on 0-2 counts on 7 batters in this game of the 11. The 12, rather. Brian McCann, the batter. He grounded out earlier. Strike one to McCann. Talked about Yankees catchers struggling at the plate last year. They combined for 8 homers and 43 runs batted in all season. Lowest in the majors for any team's catchers. That's a liner and past Matt Dominguez over the shift into left center field. Not hit all that well, but McCann has a 2-out single.
Looked like an 0-1 changeup. One of the maybe just 2 or 3 thrown so far tonight from Cosart. I would probably prefer seeing that pitch thrown with a 1-0, 2-1 kind of a count. But like you say, Brownie, it wasn't hit sharply. It's not like McCann was sitting on it.
McCann, the runner with 2 outs for Mark Teixeira, who struck out looking earlier. Infield stays in that shift. The Yankees had quite a double play from Kelly Johnson, who turned it as the third baseman in the Yankees shift. Back in the home 3rd inning on Jason Castro. In the air, and Dominguez wants it. To end the Yankee 4th, no runs a hit and a man stranded. 2-0 Astros.
Fourth, I'm Howard Chen here in the Crawford boxes, and just to update you on in-game live and you're voting for the player of the game, because remember, your votes, whoever is the player of the game, will be featured on Astros post-game live, and right now it's really no surprise who's leading. It's Dexter Fowler, the guy with the triple and a home run. He leads the voting at 60%, but you can go to ingameastros.csnhouston.com, put your votes in there, and like I said, the choice for player of the game will be featured on Astros post-game live. Bill, back to you.
Thank you, Howard. Well, of course, Jared Cosart's family is here at the ballpark tonight.
Yeah. And they are big voters.
And Howard can tell us if they can vote on their mobile devices, but we already know the answer would be yes on that, don't we?
I would think so. And furthermore, even though it's a great vote for Dexter Fowler, don't forget about Jared Cosart. That defensive side, the pitching side, crucial, and he's been brilliant.
Altuve hit a fly ball to center field earlier. There's ball 1 up and into him. Very positive Jose Altuve. Good story about that today by Jesus Ortiz in the Houston Chronicle. And Jose was quoted as saying, "We're not talking anymore about how many games we're not going to lose. we're talking about how many games we're going to win. 1 ball, 1 strike. He said if you're going out there worrying about not losing, you're already automatically letting that thought of losing go into your head. Foul ball.
Maybe that's what goes on when a team is on a winning streak. Maybe you just start thinking so positively that things start to roll. I have never been a huge believer in momentum, especially in baseball, but there are times when it seems to take over.
Well, the old saying, momentum is as good as the next day's starting pitcher, right?
Typically true. The offense is the only other part of that equation that really can take over. I guess defense can as well. But you keep it positive, and you know that Bo Porter is trying with everything he has to keep things positive.
Check swing foul. Well, Altuve is at that stage of his career now. He's been around for a few years, but many of the Astros are brand new and younger players in terms of service time in the big leagues. So it seems that he might be emerging as a little bit more of a leader on this club this year. Players are talking publicly about liking what they have in the clubhouse, their relationships with each other. And Cosart gets a strikeout. It's number 3.
Well, he's tough. There's no doubt about it. Dexter Fowler's figured him out.
Yankees so far through 13 innings have 8 hits and 1 for extra bases. The Astros have 6 extra base hits in the series. This Carter, the batter, he hit a fly ball to left on a 3-2 count. Infield shifting around. Ellsbury is almost straight away in center, though. And this ball went to Carter. Here's the alignment. Astros had a number of players who worked out here at the ballpark throughout the winter, and they felt that that brought them together as a team. 2 balls, no strikes. And I think every team now, you know, welcoming new players to the clubhouse here. It's early April. It's a different mix for just about every major league team than it was a year ago. Sometimes there can be a catalyst who was a free agent or obtained in a trade that might move a club in a positive or negative way in that clubhouse.
But to your point, take a look at the Boston Red Sox, reigning world champs. It's a different club.
Yes, sir.
Their center fielder happens to be playing center field for the Yankees. You can't do that, can you?
But what a lift they got on opening day from Grady Sizemore, who had not played the last 2 seasons in the big leagues.
Hit one out to right field, and you wonder, can he rebound to that extent?
That would be quite a story, but he has had very good seasons in the past. He's been bothered by leg problems. Now they've brought the second baseman Roberts back over the first base side with 2 strikes on Carter. He takes a close one, and it's 3-2. And Julius preparing something for us.
Well, if Chris Carter has figured out how to lay off that pitch, can serve him well, some umpires might be inclined to throw up a right hand on that one.
Struck him out, and we go to Julia Morales.
Hey, Brownie, as Mark Krause comes up, just a chance to talk about how Grady was this spring. First off, hitting .293 and .912 OPS, 2 home runs this spring, and he knew he'd have to prove himself as a hitter and a first baseman, so he got a lot of reps there. It feels comfortable enough to start here tonight. And last year, you got to remember, he was called up late, played mostly left field, but he worked really hard this spring, and he looks really good at the plate. He battled through some sickness. He said he had a sore back and a sore hamstring. This is all stuff I didn't know until today, but looked really good. And yesterday, he's in the platoon position, so yesterday he got a little extra work so he could just keep that rhythm coming into today.
Well, it might help him to be in that platoon, so he'll get the day off every now and then to get back to 100%. There's ball 1 with Cosart trailing 2-0 in this game, but throwing the ball pretty well. He's done well against everybody except Dexter Fowler. It's odd because Fowler was 4 for 21 lifetime against Kuroda when this game started. 2-0. Krause is from Deschler, Ohio. Went to Ohio University, where he was the Mid-American Conference Player of the Year. Drafted in the second round by Arizona in 2009 and obtained in the Chris Johnson deal in July of 2012. Chris took a run at the NL batting title for a while last year. A very fine season for Atlanta. 2 balls and 1 strike now.
Yeah, you wonder when a guy like that turns it on. Did anybody here in Houston see that kind of ability while he was here?
With the shift on, it's Kelly Johnson, the third baseman, over to make this play on a 5-3 out number 3. After 4, Astros 2, Yankees nothing.
Astros, Dynamo, Rockets, and more. We have all your sports news covered. Check out Sportsnet Central every night at 6, 10, and midnight on Comcast Sportsnet.
Thanks, Julia. We saw a shot of Kelly Johnson there on that shot of the studio. She was out here last night, but they're attempting to broker a meeting between Kelly Johnson and Kelly Johnson, and it hasn't happened yet. So, Julia, you might be able to help out with that.
I'll see what I can do.
Okay. Alfonso Soriano grounded out in the second inning. Shift is on for him. Strike 1 for Jared Cosart. The Yankees are one of those teams. The Red Sox are certainly another one. Frequently working the count very well.
Good looking inside corner job right after hitting the outside edge. All you can say is for the Yankees, and for any club, it comes down to personnel. They tried to work the counts last year, and they were not a good offensive club. Oh, boy.
1-2.
You know, I'd love to see the over the top on this. I mean, I just don't know how that ball misses the corner.
Leaves that one high. 2 balls, 2 strikes for Cosart. Jared, 23 years old. He's on the youngest major league roster. Astros average 26.9 years. And he gets a strikeout of Soriano. That's number 3.
Yeah, this pitch not in the strike zone, but that previous pitch may have made Alfonso Soriano think, I better swing the bat.
Brett Gardner struck out looking in the 3rd inning. 69 pitches so far, as you see at the top of the screen, for Jared Cosart. So like Jared Cosart, another young pitcher who grew up in the Houston area, Scott Kazmir, won today for Oakland. And part of a doubleheader, 6-1 over Cleveland, his former club. Gardner looks at that, and it's strike two. So what Cosart is doing is just pumping the strike zone with early strikes, and the Yankees are taking them.
Especially when it's the curveball.
That has been a very effective weapon for him to get strike one and strike two. One ball, two strikes.
Trying to go up the ladder with the heater, and can't get the swing, but that's good thinking.
That doubleheader in Oakland created by the rainout last night. Grounder through the right side. A single into right field by Gardner. Hit number 3, all singles for the Yankees.
Now you deal with a guy who runs well, can steal bags. Does that change anything up for Jared Cosart? Pretty quick bat, and just simply finds the hole. Brett Gardner can really fly.
He might be using his legs right here. The Yankees looking rather listless so far tonight. He might be trying to give them some life with Roberts at the plate here at the bottom of the lineup, the number 8 hitter. Roberts singled to right center in the third.
Not many stolen base attempts will go against that delivery, that little slide step.
Krause holding Gardner at first. Gardner last year had 24 steals and 32 attempts. In his career, he's 161 for 199. His biggest year for steals, 49 in 2011. It's 2-0.
But out of the slide step, 2-0 the count for Cosart. Way too early to say that that's impacting his pitches, although a little bit of body language there I think has Brent Strom concerned. Make sure and check to see if everything is okay with the arm. Doesn't appear to be arm talk right there, though.
No.
Saw a little flexing of the right arm by Cosart. I thought maybe that was the reason Stromy had gone out there. He may have gone out to say, look, don't change your delivery if you feel like it's impacting you.
75 pitches so far. In the third inning, brought the high count so far of 22. We gave up just the one single, but had a couple of 3-2 counts in that frame. Now a big 2-0 pitch coming to Roberts. Roberts fouls it.
You know, Cosart has actually altered that set position from where we saw this spring. He was kind of on the right hip, and now he's centered it up. And I think he just simply feels more comfortable centered up and just allow things to happen more normally.
Roberts made 9 career opening day starts at second base for Baltimore. And that was a club record for the Orioles. He's 36. And swings a one in on him for a 2-2 count.
Gives you an idea that the hitters may not be seeing it real well.
Certainly does.
Roberts fits in rather nicely as a Yankee in the sense that he's always been comfortable about taking pitches, trying to get deep in counts.
.349 career on base average for Brian Roberts. So if you're, it looked like Castro was setting up outside, but just seeing the feeble swing that Roberts took on that strike two. If you're catching, would you think about coming back with that same pitch?
Certainly a valid ploy. I guess sometimes you think when a guy takes that kind of a swing that now maybe he's thinking you're coming back in.
Right. And they're going away. And it's not a strike. 3-2 now.
I'd be surprised if the Yankees weren't on the move here on this 3-2 delivery.
Yep. Gardner's speed. And Ellsbury and Girardi talk it over. Kelly Johnson on deck. In 11 innings, the White Sox beat the Twins 7-6. Cardinals and Reds delayed by rain tonight in Cincinnati. Tigers beat the Royals today in 10, 2-1. Brad Ausmus getting another thrilling victory. Ian Kinsler hit his first home run as a Tiger. Braves shut out the Brewers 1-0 behind Aaron Harang. Runner going, ground ball, pass to diving Dominguez into left field. Gardner will hold it second. Ball sharply hit, so sharply that Gardner could not take advantage of running on the pitch and get to third, but Roberts comes through and it's first and second, one out.
Yeah, like you say, Brownie, the ball is hit sharply. The Yankees right now finding some holes, but they are hitting the ball well. And they've also had some balls hit sharply at infielders earlier, so it's kind of the nature of this crazy game.
It can be crazy, all right. Now things have gotten a little uncomfortable, perhaps, for Cosart. It's Kelly Johnson, the number 9 hitter, coming up. Jerome Williams beginning to throw in the Astros bullpen. Something apparently is out of whack with Jared Cosart. Johnson grounded out in the third. Yankees bringing in Kelly Johnson to play third base this year, and they're hoping that he and Brian McCann, Jacoby Ellsbury can all take advantage of Yankee Stadium, which definitely favors left-handed hitters. That's strike one to Johnson.
What you like to see is a pitcher who's commanding the strike zone, getting ahead early, and that's what Jared Cosart is doing. Last season, not really the kind of figure you want to see, but 14 of 18 times so far tonight in the strike zone on that first pitch.
Curveball doesn't work for a strike. 1-1. That is a definite improvement. 14 for 18, and it's been a big part of his success in this game. Kelly Johnson last year hit much better against lefties. He hit .218 against right-handed pitching last season. In tight to him, and it's 2-1. Went to Westwood High School in Austin, Texas. Came up with the Braves in 05. He had Tommy John surgery on his elbow in 06. Had a 26 home run year for Arizona in 2010. He looks at that one. It's a strike call. That evens the count at 2-2. 83 pitches for Cosart.
Back of the mound, taking a little breather, grabbing the rosin bag. Big time for a quality pitch right here.
His last work in an official Major League Spring Training game this year was back on March 19th with the 5 hitless innings at Washington. Bouncer foul. That's not that unusual because pitchers typically will get in some work in minor league games that don't count on the big league stat sheet. Intra-squad games, things of that nature. But there's just something about that feel of competing before a good-sized crowd that might be different. And especially as players talk about moving to the big league stadiums to begin the regular season.
See him spiking that first finger on the baseball. That's a grip that some guys will use on a curveball. Obviously one that Cosart is employing.
Ground ball right side. Krause going to VR. Stretches to get the out, but the throw pulled him out of double play possibility. And it's a 3-6 force play on Roberts, with Gardner taking third and Johnson reaching.
Despite the throw from Krause not being on the money, still a good play by Krause. That in-between hop easily could have gotten by, and then a nice play by VR to ensure getting one out. Sometimes plays don't go exactly right. Can you get an out of it and not have things get out of control? That's exactly what happens here.
That was a good angle on that last replay, showing you how VR had to react quickly to stretch to his right.
Excellent play.
Now first and third, 2 outs for Ellsbury. Ellsbury's grounded out and fly to left. Cheater's on deck. Yankees did not score last night until the 8th inning, when they got their 2 runs. That's strike one.
Most valuable pitch for Jared Cosart tonight? I don't know, because the fastball's been good and well spotted, but that curveball has to be discussed in that conversation.
Yes, it does. Brent Strom, the new pitching coach, has worked long and hard with Cosart on implementing that pitch into his arsenal.
Great consistency on the release point.
It's 0-2.
Little cut job on the hands after the curveball, and you just got a hitter in knots at that point.
A little extra time taken here by Cosart, trying to finish this inning. The Yankees threatening. He's 0-2 in the count. Strom was hired from the Cardinal organization by Jeff Luhnow and the Astros. Jerome Williams has been warming up in the bullpen for Houston. Grounded slowly to second. Altuve in and over to Krause. Cosart out of trouble. No runs, 2 hits, 2 men left. Through 4.5, the Astros lead the Yankees 2-0.
Astros greats Lance Berkman and Roy Oswalt retire as Astros. That's Saturday, a couple of days from now, April 5th. Join us for a special pregame ceremony honoring their terrific careers, including speeches by both Astros legends. Following the ceremony, the Astros will face off against the Angels at 6:10 p.m. Get your tickets at Astros.com or call 1-877-9-ASTROS.
We look forward to it on Saturday, and they'll be on the air with us that night. The Astros and the Angels. Jason Castro, Jared Cosart with a moment on the bench after getting out of trouble there. 88 pitches through 5 for Cosart. You got Ellsbury. And now the Astros have Dominguez leading it off in the home 5th inning. He struck out looking in the 2nd against Kuroda. He shoots this one to second. Roberts right there. Well, 1 pitch out. We just had a proposal in the stands.
Did it go well?
Our own Julia Morales was just a few feet away from that proposal. There's a lucky couple.
Now they're laughing. It must have gone well.
Yeah.
Guys, I almost ruined the whole thing. I almost walked right into it. Oh, I got to keep my head on a swivel.
Did you know it was coming?
I had no idea. I looked up. There was a ring. There was some bling. Some tears. Tried to get out of the way.
Very nice. Alex Presley hit the ball well on a line to right field. First time up. And Alex has kind of been surrounded by the media here. I had a big pack of folks around his locker before this game tonight as he was about to make his Astros debut. Takes a strike, and it's 1-1. Julia, did you get a chance to speak with Alex?
I did. It was a very wild week for Alex. He was with the Twins a week ago, and their spring training went through the entire spring training with them before he realized he'd been claimed off waivers. He didn't even know he was on waivers, Brownie. It was just kind of one of those shocked, surprising moments for him. He struggled this spring. He started out, though, thinking he was going to be their starting center fielder. And what he told me is that he can play all 3 positions here for the Astros. He's not sure where he'll fit in. He knows he will platoon some, but he's just really excited for the opportunity to be here.
This one's in the air to left center field. Ellsbury pursues it. You mean his agent didn't call him at 3 in the morning and say, "Hey, Alex, wake up, you're on waivers"?
His agent called to say, "Hey, you're on waivers," and "Hey, you got picked up." Astros had the first pick there, so it happened very, very quickly.
I hope it was a different time frame than you proposed, Brownie.
Yeah. 2 outs now. It's Jonathan Villar. He was thrown out by the catcher, McCann. A little chop in front of the plate. Julia, are you pretty much in favor of proposals at the ballpark?
Can I be honest?
Yes.
No.
Okay.
It sounded to me like she shies away from them.
No, I think they're sweet. But they do happen pretty often. I guess it's because we're at the ballpark and we see so many.
Yeah. We do see a lot.
I've seen my share.
Villar fouls it. Well, years ago, the Astros were in Montreal, and there was a proposal, and we had it on camera. And Yuppie, the Expos mascot, was right there in the stands and was involved in this proposal, but the woman refused.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
Yeah, she knocked the ring out of the guy's hand, and it fell down between the seats.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Villar strikes out. That's number 5 for Kuroda. And after 5, it's 2-0 Astros.
Top of the 6th here. Kick off your weekend at Minute Maid Park this season with Friday night fireworks presented by Marathon Oil Corporation. Enjoy post-game fireworks after every Friday home game this season. Visit Astros.com or call 1-877-9-ASTROS for more info. The fireworks just happened around me with a big proposal. Before I sound like a Debbie Downer brownie, I would just prefer a more quiet proposal.
Well,
I didn't want that to come off like I hated love, and
but
it wasn't like that.
It's just your opinion, that's all.
I like the more private. And you were telling a great story. That's what I'm talking about. I would think you'd want it more private in case she does say no and throw the ring down.
Well, it's a good point. And then you see Jerome Williams now. He's come out of the bullpen. He's warming up. And he's going to be making his Astros debut after going 9-10 with the Angels with a 4.57 ERA, mostly as a starter last year.
Jerome Williams is a guy that's content to pitch wherever, as a starter, as a bullpen guy, wants to get the job done. And I'll tell you what, there have been times that I've had my eyes on him when he was pitching with the Angels, certainly, where he has been one of the most effective pitchers on their club, and the Astros hope that he does the same here. By the way, any self-respecting woman ought to turn down a proposal when Yuppie is involved.
Well, yeah, that was a very strange occasion. Jerome Williams, age 32, born in Hawaii, goes up against Derek Jeter. Jeter is 0 for 2 in this game. Cosart leaving after 88 pitches, 5 innings, 4 hits, no runs, no walks, 3 strikeouts for Jared Cosart. And there's ball 1.
So I wonder if there's anything to look into right there in terms of Cosart. 88 pitches, shy of the 100 mark. Was something bothering him at that point?
That's a fair question. It's 2 balls, no strikes.
Was there potentially something that Bo Porter and Brent Strom saw that maybe indicated there had been a change? Brent Strom seems to be happy about things.
He does. Well, he's talking with Rex Jones.
Well, he should be.
Everybody who talks to Rex Jones gets a happy feeling.
Might get tickled with that mustache.
3 balls, no strikes to Jeter now. So Williams, who was battling for a spot in this rotation, is one of 2 long men in Bo Porter's bullpen to open the season.
Wow.
All 4. Well,
those last 2 pitches appear to be right there at the knees.
Yes.
Jared Cosart, while he was still on the hill, and we look at the pitch by pitch brought to you by Steel Dealers, Cosart just pumps the heater right through the heart of the plate. This is Mark Teixeira at the plate, and then that little cutter all filthy over the hands. Got to go up the ladder to get him, and then just pumps the heat again, finds the outside edge, and see you later. And that's a lot of the way Jared Cosart treated hitters tonight.
Really threw the ball well. Now Carlos Beltran with the shift on, and Jerome Williams got a reminder from Jason Castro about third base being uncovered with Dominguez about where the shortstop normally plays. So the pitcher may have to get over there and cover third base in this defensive alignment.
After that Jeter at bat, I'm wondering if Jerome Williams is asking himself, how did Cosart get a called strike all night?
He might be. He's thrown 5 straight balls to begin his outing in relief. There's a strike. That makes him 1-1. Well, Jerome had good control figures last year. He walked 55 in 169 innings. He was drafted by the Giants in '99 after pitching in high school in Hawaii. And he told that story the other day. Pretty good story. He said, well, no, there weren't a lot of scouts at that time in Hawaii. And I was pitching in high school, and the Major League Scouting Bureau was involved in seeing me and put in a report. And the next start, when I was a senior, 20 scouts showed up. And he said, I got wind of that. My dad was at the game, and they had radar guns. And he said, I didn't know anything about a radar gun. I'd never seen one or heard of one before. And so his dad got word to him, hey, son, you're throwing 97.
By the way, this is the previous pitch with Teixeira stepping out. Now, from my vantage point, Phil Cuzzy was still ready to call that a strike. But when it wasn't in the strike zone, was that called a ball?
Yes.
So it did go up. That was ball number 1. Okay.
Yeah, it's 2-2 now.
That's right. Beltran at the plate.
And we'll be getting to Howard in a moment. That's a strikeout for Williams for out number 1. And Howard Chen right now.
I tell you what, Brad, the Twitter question, I was going to go with a different direction at first, but then after your conversation with Julia, we have a new Twitter question, totally inspired by that conversation. Yes or no to ballpark marriage proposals? Explain why. Tweet me at HoChenCSN. The best tweets I've been reading on TV in just a bit. Brownie, back to you.
Well, I want to ask you about proposals at NBA games also.
Oh, man. See, I'm not a proponent of it. That's just my personal opinion.
Okay. But you've been to a lot of NBA games. And have you seen one of those proposals at a Rockets game?
Well, this is the thing. I think people should get creative. That's been done before. Maybe if it's a special meeting with your significant other. But, honestly, there's so many different avenues to go about it. I think if you're going to propose, think of a really neat way to do it that hasn't been done yet.
Okay. The line shot, and it's foul. McCann out in front of it. It's 1 ball, 1 strike. So Jerome Williams, the day he had 20 scouts watching, his father ran down and told him between innings, "Hey, son, you're throwing 97. He said, "Really?" So he said, "I tried to throw even harder than that."
That's optimism.
And he was taken with a sandwich pick after the first round by the Giants. So they got him something. Might have earned him some dollars that day. Swing and a miss there, and it's 1-2 on McCann.
The conversation you were just having about proposals and the comments coming back about do it some way that's never been done. And I'm trying to think, what might that possibility be?
How about
never been done?
Skydiving. Has that been done?
That's been done far too many times, Brian.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Submarining?
Now, I would imagine it's taken place, but you don't see it up on the big board.
Snowshoeing at the South Pole.
The Iditarod.
Line shot into right field. That'll get Jeter at least to third base as McCann rips one. And it goes into second base. It's first and third on the single by McCann. He's 2 for 3 tonight with 1 out. Mark Teixeira will bat.
Game of inches. How close does Krause come to gloving this ball and then coming up with a double play?
Pretty close. We'll see.
Let's take that peek. Yeah, maybe a little more out of the reach than I initially thought. Yes, it was.
Well, the Yankees now have 5 hits in this game. The Astros have 2. All the Yankee hits have been singles, but Jeter's at third. And at first base, it's McCann with Teixeira batting. He's 0 for 2.
So we're done with Jared Cosart tonight, but I would just say those were 5 marvelous innings.
They were.
Really good looking stuff. And if that's a glimpse of what we are to see in some reasonable part this year from Jared Cosart, I think it's going to be a heck of a year for him.
Teixeira, who's been an outstanding RBI man in his career, has this opportunity here in the 6th with the infield shifted around. Only Dominguez between second and third. Villar up the middle. Strike 1 for Jerome Williams. Jerome has pitched in 155 major league games, 117 as a starter. And he throws to first.
That's one of those tosses to first with no real intent, and I can't imagine he's thinking that McCann may be on the move right here.
Teixeira looks at a strike. It's 0-2. Started to swing.
It has become taken time for the Yanks. Little backdoor slider. When you check your swing like that, a lot of times you see the little conversation go on. It's about did you deem that I had gone through?
Fouls it back. It's still 0-2. Teixeira hacking on that 0-2 pitch there. Mark has hit 341 career homers. He's driven in more than 1,100. Had some absolutely outstanding years, including 122 runs batted in to lead the American League in his first year with the Yankees, 09.
Safe to say the Yankees thoroughly missed that bat last year.
He's had 8 years of 100 runs batted in or more. He lays off that, and it's 1-2.
It's a beautiful sight, a baseball field when the grass is nice and green.
Broken bat looper, foul. Yeah, it's something we missed. But if you go back to when you were a kid, first time you went to a major league game, isn't that one memory you take out of that? Is seeing that green field.
Sights, and there are smells about the ballpark. You know, one of the things that probably caught my imagination, along with the beautiful lighting that goes on at a ballpark, was that infield and how well manicured it appeared to be.
And you appreciate it if you played some amateur baseball, where there are some bad hops out there on that infield.
Didn't you have those imaginations thinking about, boy, I'd love to be out there and be able to play on that type of field?
You bet. He struck him out. Big strikeout for Jerome Williams with first and third and 1 out for out number 2.
Goes off speed, gets that bat started, and Teixeira couldn't pull this one back. You could see Jerome Williams pointing toward Jason Castro, in essence saying, great call. I really appreciate what you came up with.
And Phil Cuzzy ruled it a swing. Now Alfonso Soriano, he's 0 for 2. So Teixeira 0 for 3 tonight, after getting 2 hits last night and a walk. Now Kraus calls time. He'll go over to talk with a non-base stealer at first. McCann. Now will Kraus play it?
Yeah, you'd think he'd play to some degree behind the runner, although looks like he's going to set up otherwise right there at the bag. I love, personally, allowing the first baseman to play near the runner, keep that runner there, and don't get away from a potential force play at the bag at second. Sometimes it's your only opportunity.
Swing by Soriano, strike one. Kraus came off the base with the pitch delivered. There's the alignment with the shift on for Soriano. Cosart's 88 pitches tonight included 57 strikes. And he and Feldman have really given the Astros 2 excellent starts in their first 2 games.
Jared Cosart appeared to be rather loose.
Bouncer left side for Dominguez. On to Kraus. And Jerome Williams puts up a 6th inning 0 in his Astros debut to keep Houston in front 2-0.
Game 2 on the season. Time to reap the rewards of a home field advantage presented by Coldwell Banker. And it's about home runs. Last night, it was the home run first pitch seen by Guzman, an early job followed by L.J. House. And they're doing it here, obviously, at Minute Maid Park. Hitting those home runs. Last year, 80 of them versus just 62 on the road. Tonight, Dexter Fowler goes from the left side of the plate out to that bullpen area. So 3 home runs already at home. And early pace says ahead of the 80 of last year.
It has rained tonight. The roof was open during batting practice. We were getting a light rain, then it intensified. The roof was closed, so it's been a closed roof kind of evening. And the Astros have shut out the Yankees through 6 for New York. Now the Astros come up for their home 6th inning. Fowler with both of the Astros hits, a homer leading off the Houston first, and a triple, after which he scored in the 3rd. Has scored all the runs in this game so far. Grossman and Castro to follow in the 6th against Kuroda. And this one is a foul ball. Back into the seats for strike 1.
First pitch fastball to Dexter Fowler, who obviously is feeling rather frisky with a bat in his hand right now. I'm surprised at that pitch selection.
We'd like to welcome those who have just been watching that Houston Rockets game. Unfortunately, a 107-103 loss to Toronto. It's the Astros and Yankees. It's Bill Brown, Alan Ashby, and Julia Morales from Minute Maid Park. And it's 2-0 Astros over the Yankees. Dexter Fowler led off the Houston first with a homer off Hiroki Kuroda. And then he tripled with 1 out in the 3rd off Kuroda. Scored on a ball hit to first base by Robbie Grossman. Ruled an error by Teixeira. So it's 2-0. And it's 1-2. The Astros starter, Jared Cosart, went 5 innings, allowing 4 hits, no runs. Jerome Williams came in the 6th. He had runners at 1st and 3rd and 1 out, and struck out Teixeira and got Soriano on a grounder. And you're up to date. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Rockets in a bit of a slide right now after losing by 4 at Toronto. Hoping they can turn it around very quickly right before playoff time. Grossman on deck. And they've had some injuries that have been mounting. It's cracked on the ground. Roberts sliding from his knees. He takes one away from Fowler. A bid for his 3rd straight hit of the night.
Yeah, that guy can play some second base, but he's not the same youthful Roberts at second base that the Orioles had for such a long time. But based on this play, the range is still a part of his game.
Well done. Robbie Grossman, 24 years old, has struck out and reached on an error. He got an RBI on that. And he looks at ball 1. Kuroda is at 81 pitches. 49 have been strikes. It's off the plate for ball 2. Grossman is one of those players who's walked a lot in his career, especially back in 2011 at Bradenton. He had 104 walks that year. Pittsburgh minor league player of the year. This one goes out to right center field. Ellsbury on the run. Ellsbury will have to track it down. It rolls up on Towles Hill. Ellsbury's way up on the hill. Here's Grossman racing to 3rd, and he has a triple. 2nd triple of the night by an Astro. First hit of the year for Robbie Grossman.
Yeah, that'll get a monkey off the back. It's only game 2, but that monkey can start to reside very early in a season when you don't get that first hit. And Robbie's showing some of the pop that he showed in that last stint with the club last year. And even with the speed of Jacoby Ellsbury in center field, Robbie able to get it by.
First major league triple for Robbie Grossman. Running well to 3rd base with 1 out, and that brings the Yankees infield in for Jason Castro. Liz Dash, the coach, at 3rd, talking to Grossman. Castro bounced into a double play after walking. Very important situation in this game. There's ball 1 as Kuroda drives him back. Altuve on deck. Adam Warren is warming up for New York. Right-hander. Fly ball to shallow left. Gardner's going to be able to come in, make the catch, make a throw, and no advance. It's cut off. The throw was well up the line, but that just simply was not deep enough to send him. 2 outs.
Yeah, I'm not so sure that Robbie didn't leave early in the process of his bluff at third base.
Well, that's a good point, too. So Castro got it in the air, but just not enough depth to get the run home. Now with 2 outs, it swings to Altuve to try to come through to get run number 3 home. He's 0 for 2. Fly ball to center and a strikeout for Jose. As Carter's on deck. Jose said his legs are feeling very good coming out of spring training. He ran very hard last night.
Yeah, he showed it in last night's game. I mean, he was kind of reckless abandon there at times, and reckless wouldn't indicate that they were under control, and everybody's talking about being aggressive under control. Sometimes you just have to take chances.
Well, Porter loved it. Listash really enjoyed that base running show. That's a strike call to make him 1-1.
Corners appear to be loosening up a bit.
Yeah, that was a more liberal strike call than we've been seeing. That is high for ball 2. 2-1 to Altuve. Batting cleanup tonight.
Fun to walk in the locker room and see your name in a kind of an unusual spot, maybe, that highlights your power game or whatever the case may be. Sometimes guys who never lead off, they get a chance in a spring game or whatever to lead off, and it's big fun time.
Slash foul. Chapman warming up for Houston, the lefty. In the 7th inning, lefty hitting Gardner to lead it off. And then Roberts, and then Johnson. So Chapman, who faced a couple of batters last night, is getting ready. Listash, who's quite a base stealer himself in his career, Rookie of the Year with Milwaukee, and then wound up playing for the Astros very briefly. Really enjoyed the base running show last night. Gets one foul.
Runs become so precious in a well-pitched game like tonight. And speaking of good pitching, Jared Cosart, back to him again. Over the 5 innings, we talked about up top last year, 35 walks, just 33 strikeouts. Well, he only strikes out 3 tonight, and still surprising for me, but not a walk on his line.
Threw a lot of quality pitches. Got ahead in the count. Altuve gets underneath this one. And the second baseman Roberts backpedals. He gives way to Beltran, who takes care of it. 1 out triple wasted for Houston. It's 2-0 Astros after 6.
Go to the 7th, and it's time for a progressive fan of the game. I've got my progressive bag, and I've got a couple of special guys here. We've got David, Josh, James, Garrett. Did I get the names right? They are visiting the ballpark because of Operation Warrior Wishes. There was a guy who put this all together. He wanted to honor veterans at different sporting events. Could be NFL, could be NBA. Well, they're here tonight as wounded warriors and then a member of the Gold Star family. So they are being honored tonight, as well as being our progressive fans of the game. I wanted to ask you, David, what's it like for you guys to be honored at this baseball game? And are you having a good time?
Actually, I'm having a great time. We really appreciate the opportunity to come out.
And you're enjoying the game a little bit, too? Yankees out there?
Astro fan.
From Houston, born in Houston. We got guys from Tyler here as well. So a lot of Texas going on. Will you guys have a good time? Enjoy your progressive back.
Great. Thank you.
Ronnie?
Thanks, Julia. Fan of the game brought to you by Progressive. Julia meets a lot of people.
I think they're all anxious to meet Julia.
Bet they are. Kevin Chapman comes in last night. He got one out, and he walked a man who later scored, so he was charged with that run. But the out he got was critical. He came in with the bases loaded and 2 outs and retired Kelly Johnson with the Astros up 6-0 at the time. Now there is strike one as he faces the lefty hitting Gardner.
I like the conversation about Jared Cosart. Stay away from the walks. I think that's a theme that you would mention with Kevin Chapman. Stay away from those walks. Get the left-hand hitters that you're enabled to face.
It's 1-1. Chapman, after getting Johnson with that bases loaded situation in the 7th on a ground ball, kind of a crazy little slithering ground ball that he fielded and threw to home for a force out. Then he walked to Ellsbury leading off the 8th and came out. It's 2-1. So as the only lefty in the bullpen, Bo Porter's going to use him probably very often, but when he's in there, it might be using him sparingly. He threw 11 pitches last night because he would want him available as much as he can.
A lot of managers feel you need 2 lefties out of your pen.
He checked his swing on appeal to Jerry Davis at third. Now it's a 3-1 count. And last night Julia was in the stands and talked with Kevin Chapman's mom. She was just so thrilled. And her son made an opening day roster for the first time in his career. Pitched well on opening day. Now a leadoff walk to Gardner. And the Yankees have their speedy leadoff man aboard here in the 7th inning. Roberts coming up.
Roberts just simply turns around and bats right-handed, but then you've got the lefty bats of Kelly Johnson, Jacoby Ellsbury to follow.
Roberts is 2 for 2 in this game. Now you're just thinking about winning last night's game for the Astros 6-2 and leading here 2-0. It just might be Bo Porter's thought that well, you know, we'll leave Chapman in to face these lefty hitters and not worry about using him tomorrow night. Ball one to Roberts.
Be real tempting, as much as the Yankees have been taking early in counts right now, to just pump the heater right on through. Of course, as soon as you do so, that'll be the guy that is ready to swing it.
That came into the strike zone, and it's 1-1.
Or you can loop the breaking ball in there.
Yes, that works. Chapman came in a trade with Kansas City. But Overholzer, the lefty, starts tomorrow, so that'll be a different looking Yankee lineup than what you're seeing tonight. That makes it 1-2. That could be a factor as well in how Chapman is used tonight. Kevin Chapman, 26 years old, born in Coral Springs, Florida. Went to the University of Florida, and then Kansas City drafted him in the 4th round in 2010. Traded to Houston prior to the 2012 season for Jason Bourgeois and Humberto Quintero. Foul back. Still 1-2 to Roberts.
I think the folks got a peek of what Brett Gardner's wearing at first base, that little diving glove. I don't know how many guys bring their barbecue gloves to the ballpark and use them for diving, sliding purposes. But
well, it's a little early for barbecue season, but it's nice to have it handy in case.
It's never too early, Brownie.
It looks like a mitten, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Two. Well, you know, some guys just the old-fashioned style was to grab some dirt in both hands so they would keep the fists clenched, right?
You know, you're taught to slide, of course, and I think in Brett Gardner's case, a lot of times it's the dive that causes him to wear that little koozie on the hand. But you're taught to slide by throwing both hands in the air. It kind of centers you on your tail section. And that's a very good ploy you bring up.
A lot of us like to be centered on our tail sections.
It is a good thing to be able to do. I know I used to make a mistake a lot of times of throwing my left hand down, and you jam your wrist time and time again.
Well, so many guys jam their wrists going in head first.
Fingers you worry about as well, and yeah, some people say you should never dive, but some of the really good base stealers rely on the dive.
That's a looping liner over shortstop into left center field. Grossman with the play, and he'll throw to the third base, and it's offline. Looked like VR was going to step in front of it, but he let it go through, and the throw is a little offline, so it's first and third now on the Roberts single with nobody out.
Very good aggressive base running by Brett Gardner. Let's take a peek here as Brian Roberts comes up with his third knock of the night. Is Robbie Grossman geared to bringing it to the plate? It looks like it, or rather to third right there. It looks like it. But nonetheless, Gardner able to get on in.
Now Brent Strom out to talk with Chapman, with lefty hitting Kelly Johnson scheduled to bat next.
Maybe another peek at that play. Going hard to his left. And again, and we said it last night, Robbie's not blessed with a great throwing arm. So maybe teams with that scouting report are going to try to run on him. That means you got to charge a little harder.
We're going to get a pinch hitter, and is making his major league debut. Yangervis Solarte. So Solarte comes up in this first and third nobody out situation for the first time as a major leaguer. He had a wonderful spring training. Really impressed Joe Girardi. He is a versatile type player on the infield, and he really hit like crazy.
I think he was might have been the leading hitter for the Yankees over the spring.
Major league debut, Yangervis Solarte. The Round Rock Express, 276, 12 homers, 75 runs batted in for Solarte. Hit .429 in spring training. 2 homers, 9 runs batted in. They strike one as he pinch hits for Kelly Johnson. Eduardo Nunez was designated for assignment by the Yankees, and he had been a mainstay on their club for the last 3 years or so. As a backup shortstop for Derek Jeter.
Played a lot of shortstop with Jeter out last year.
So that was quite a surprise, certainly to Mr. Nunez and others around the Yankees scene. And there's a question about how much rest Jeter will get this year. The Yankees had signed Brendan Ryan, who's an outstanding glove man, to back up Jeter, but he's hurt. He has a back injury, and he might not be back soon.
Astros very willing to give up a run here to get a double play.
There's a shot. Altuve to second. VR to first. The run scores. They get a double play. They'll make that trade, as you just mentioned, Ash, but it's 2-1 Houston now. Well done by Altuve and VR.
Was well done. When you watch Jonathan Villar, one thing to always remember, he's got a standout throwing arm. Sometimes inconsistent with it last year as he made more errors than he would like. But this is a very fine double play. When you don't have a second baseman taking a ground ball near the bag and it requires a little bit more of a throw, that's a tough double play to turn. But turned very nicely.
Altuve, he squared around. He didn't waste a step there. He got that ball quickly to Villar. Now it's Ellsbury. Ellsbury 0 for 3. And his ball one. So no run batted in for Solarte, bouncing into a double play. And it's a one-run game. Carter, Krause, and Dominguez due up in the Astros' 7th inning. Ellsbury takes the ball. Makes it 2-0.
Chapman appears to get underneath that slider on occasion. It's kind of loops up toward the plate. Can still be quite effective against left-hand hitters.
Ellsbury had a very productive full season last year with Boston, 577 at bats. He looks at that one for ball 3, but in the last 4 years he's averaged just 96 games per year. And his big year 2011, he played 158 games and finished second in the MVP vote.
32 bombs, 105 RBIs while hitting .321.
That's ball 4 to Ellsbury. Second walk of the inning for a Chapman.
And his third already on his young season.
And now Bo Porter's on his way with Jeter up next. Walk, single, double play, and walk. Matt Albers has been warming up while this has been happening for Kevin Chapman. And we have a pitching change with the score. Houston 2, the Yankees 1. Back in a moment. The Yankees in the 7th. Dexter Fowler and the Astros finish their inaugural series of 2014 with the Yankees tomorrow night. Pre-game lives at 6:30. The game's at 7, only on Comcast Sportsnet.
And here's tomorrow night's pitching matchup, brought to you by Chevron. Care for your car. It is Brett Oberholzer going for the Astros. So good last year, and reflected in that ERA 2.76. Ivan Nova, very good right arm for the Yankees, goes to the mound. 9-6 a year ago. 3.10 the ERA. Good pitching matchup for night 3 of the season. Brett Oberholzer, guy who has a lot riding on his back because of how well he pitched last year.
Now Matt Albers with last year's American League stolen base champion Jacoby Ellsbury at first, coming off a debut of 1 inning, no runs, and he throws to first base as Ellsbury goes back. He gave up a hit last night. He finished that 6-2 win. The hit was a double to Kelly Johnson in the 9th. He did not face Derek Jeter in that game last night. But he's facing him now, and Jeter's 0 for 2 with a walk. 6 hits for the Yankees, 3 for the Astros. New York has the only error tonight. Yankees have stranded 6 to the Astros. 2 men left on base. Ellsbury took a couple of quick steps towards second and stopped as ball 1 came in to Jeter.
Pretty wise to try to pitch hard in on Jeter. He's been steadily hitting the ball toward the right side.
To Jeter, makes it 1-1 from Houston-born Matt Albers. Lives near the Woodlands now. Went to high school in this area and San Jacinto Junior College. The Astros drafted him in the 23rd round in 01. Traded him to Baltimore after the 07 season in the Miguel Tejada deal. Then he went to Arizona, Cleveland, and returning to Houston as a free agent in December. And he is really happy for a lot of reasons to be back. First of all, it's home for him. Secondly, he came up through this organization, excited to be a part of a young building organization. Last year he pitched 56 times for a very good Cleveland Indian team and had a 3.14 ERA. And he steps back. Carlos Beltran is on deck. Jared Cosart started for Houston. He went 5 innings, allowing 4 hits, no runs. Jerome Williams in 1 inning allowed 1 hit, no runs, with a walk, 2 strikeouts. Then it was Chapman earlier in this inning, and now Albers pitcher number 4 for Houston. It's been Kuroda for the Yankees. Jeter looks at it. It's a strike. It's 1-2, and he walks away.
Well, the Yankees starting to look like the Yankees of some years back, taking and working counts deep.
Astros won the opener last night to give them back-to-back opening day wins for the first time since 2000 and 2001. Now trying to follow it up with a second straight win, which would clinch this 3-game series. Runner going. Here's a throw from Castro. It's high to VR. A stolen base for Ellsbury. The pitch was ball 2 to Jeter. First steal of the year for Ellsbury.
And now, of course, the base hit has a chance of tying the ball game. Jonathan VR, very athletic in that move up and over the base runner. Not what you call a just blinding jump right there. Maybe a perfect throw has a chance, but again, your shortstop, very athletic position anyway, and VR has all of that athleticism.
Foul ball by Jeter.
Defensive looking swing from Jeter. A little bit of a look on the face that says that wasn't my best hack.
Right. Albers, one of the ground ball pitchers to join this Astros staff over the winter. Chad Qualls, another one. Last night it was Qualls working the 8th and Albers the 9th. And Albers in inning number 7.
Lost a guy in Roy Halladay for some years against the Yankees and Red Sox, and they're taking Ploy. He would take them right out of it.
Jeter strikes out. And that ends the Yankees' 7th. They come up with a run on 1 hit. They leave a man in scoring position. Astros fans liking it. It's Houston 2, the Yankees 1 at 7th inning stretch time.
month here, and it's now time for you to tweet your photo using hashtag AstrosFanPhoto for a chance to have it shown in an upcoming game telecast. It's the Astros Fan Photo brought to you by AT&T. And we have to check in with Howard Chin, who's over in the Crawford boxes. He's been working on Twitter a lot tonight. What was the poll question?
Well, Julia, it's appropriate that you're tossing to me because the question was totally inspired by you, and I think most of our viewers agree with you. Our Twitter question was, yay or nay to ballpark marriage proposals, and most people said a resounding no. Trey Miller tweeted, if you met at a game, then it's okay, otherwise, no. Have a player hit a home run to the couple with marry me on it? Maybe. JD White Mamba tweeted, the proposal at the ballpark is too basic. Spice it up with Nolan Ryan throwing the ring to you before you propose, then maybe. But overall, take some notes, guys. No. So remember, vote for your player of the game. In-game live, csnhouston.com. Julia, back to you.
Wow, that's good stuff right there. So no, Brownie, that's what we're hearing.
Okay. It's a resounding no. David Phelps in the game for the Yankees. They trail the Astros 2-1 with Chris Carter leading it off in the home 7th inning. Phelps taking over for Hiroki Kuroda, who in 6 innings allowed 3 hits, 2 runs, walking 1, fanning 5. Phelps delivers, and it's ball 1 to Chris Carter.
I want to know how else a man is supposed to guarantee to a woman that he's going to show her off to the world.
Breaking ball, ball 2.
Apparently you don't agree.
Well, we might have a debate on that.
And I don't think Howard agrees at all.
No. Howard doesn't agree with a thing we say. Phelps 6-5 with a 4.98 ERA last year. David's 27 years old, born in St. Louis. He's a Notre Dame. Throws that one in. 2-1. And he probably took the ball and said the ball might have talked to him and said, your mission, Mr. Phelps.
Oh,
should you choose to accept
I see.
it,
that's where you're going.
is to retire the Astros.
Little smoke involved.
You remember that one?
Sure.
Mission Impossible. That was one of the great TV shows of its era.
I think they did ballpark proposals all the time on that show.
I believe they did. Larry Rothschild hoping this is not Mission Impossible for his Yankees, who trail 2-1. They'll have Beltran, McCann, and Teixeira up in the 8th inning. That's a strikeout looking on Carter. Number 6 of the night for Yankees pitchers.
One of the dangers in talking about Chris Carter, about trying to become more selective, laying off pitches, is that sometimes you don't recognize a pitch that might be at the knees and you wind up taking strike 3. So there's a fine line, a dance that you go through there when you're trying to improve one area and not losing on another.
Mark Krause is 0 for 2. He hit very well in spring training, especially early. Looked like the changeup for ball 1. Mark tailed off a little bit at the end of the spring, but he was a rampaging hitter in the first couple of weeks in March. Finished at 293. Hit a couple of homers, drove in 4. Out of 375 on base average. 1 ball, 1 strike. David Phelps was drafted in the 14th round in 08 by New York. Made 12 starts last year for the Yankees. 10 times he pitched in relief. He missed there, and it's 2-1. Astros took him to task last year at Yankee Stadium. He had a 4-0 lead, but then the Astros got 4 off him in their 4th inning as they batted around. He got a no decision. Over shortstop, out into shallow left field for Gardner. 2 down. And it'll be Matt Dominguez looking for his first hit. He struck out in the 2nd and grounded out in the 5th. The Angels are here over the weekend, and that's through Monday afternoon. Albert Pujols, Josh Hamilton, David Freese, Mike Trout, C.J. Wilson and company making their first trip to Minute Maid in 2014. That's to right field, hit well. Beltran back. Beltran at the wall. Opposite field homer from Matt Dominguez. 3-1 Astros.
Just let it fly. That's what it looked like to me with Matt Dominguez. Still looking for that first hit. Don't feel around and try to find a hole. Let the bat fly, and that's what Matt did so well last year. That's a big run for the club. Now you've got that 2-run lead once again. It's not a big ballpark to straightaway right field, and Matt Dominguez with plenty of power to take advantage of that.
He hit 21 of those last year. There's number 1 after an 0-for-6 start to this season. Now 3-1, and there's strike 1 to Presley. Presley's 0-for-2. Boy, you're right about the importance of that run. Takes it from a 1-run lead to a couple at least, with the 8th inning bringing the Yankees 3, 4, 5 hitters to the plate.
The Astros don't know what a single is tonight. All about extra bases. Dominguez. Get a look at why I say just let it fly. And that's exactly what it looked like to me. It looked like a guy who had the right approach to trying to come up with that first knock, maybe make a big swing for the club.
Yankees have 6 hits, all singles. The Astros have 4 hits, including 2 homers and 2 triples.
All right, now we're feeling comfortable.
All right. 1 and 2. Jonathan Villar's on deck. Seattle Mariners off to a 2-0 start this season, and they lead 1-0 playing at Los Angeles, actually at Anaheim, against the Angels after 3. Astros trying to make it a 2-0 start themselves. Washington won at New York over the Mets 5-1. Gio Gonzalez with the victory against Bartolo Colon. Ian Desmond and Gio Gonzalez. Homer. Roll to second base. Roberts to his right. Throws out a hustling Presley. And it's Matt Dominguez unloading number 1 of 2014. He goes oppo to make it 3-1 Astros after 7.
Say, follow the Astros with MLB.com @bat for your iPhone, iPad, Android, or BlackBerry 10. Get scores, stats, highlights, live audio, and a whole lot more. Text @bat to 31826 or visit Astros.com.
This crowd here at Minute Maid Park has seen a low-scoring game. 3-1 Astros over the Yankees through 7. Entertaining, close. The Astros got a run in the first on a Fowler homer. Fowler tripled in the third and scored on a Grossman grounder, which went as an error. Grossman getting the RBI. Yankees getting back in it with a 7th inning run, but there was a double play in there too, and that really helped with Chapman in the game. Then Albers came in after a walk to Ellsbury. He struck out Jeter. Now with a 3-1 lead, it's Albers versus Beltran, who's 0 for 3. And there's a line drive shot, left field corner. Beltran will run for second base. Bobby Grossman will throw in toward third on a leadoff double. They were shifted around, playing him to pull.
Sure did look like Carlos Beltran was willing to go the other way with that wide open side. If you're going to play it that way defensively, I think you have to pitch it that way as well. Work in and don't enable a guy that's so gifted with the bat to take advantage like this.
Josh Fields is warming up for Houston. Ryan McCann, the batter. He's 2 for 3. Hits the last 2 times up. Infield shifted around. And there's strike 1. Always coming inside. Colorado won at Miami 6-5. A win for Jordan Lyles. In 5 innings, he gave up 4 earned runs. It's 1-1. Giancarlo Stanton homered off Lyles with a man on, his first of the year. Versus Hector Alvarez. Miami's a possible surprise team. But Troy Hawkins got the save. Former Astro. So a couple of former Astros collaborating with a win and a save for the Rockies.
How old is LaTroy Hawkins?
Got to be more than 40, right?
Oh, yeah. I would guess more like 43 or so.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Got to be the oldest closer in the majors right now. What was Mariano last year? 42?
Did he match his number?
I believe he did.
Yeah.
2 balls, 2 strikes.
Let's see, LaTroy Hawkins is born in December of 1972, so he's still 41, still a youngster.
All right. Much younger than we thought. Swing and a miss by McCann. That one broke sharply down and in for a strikeout.
Here's a look at the pitch-by-pitch brought to you by Steel Dealers. And in this case, we're talking about Mark Teixeira back in the 6th inning. As Jerome Williams had come on, Teixeira very willing to take some pitches, and then Williams up and in. The slider misses under the knees, and then on the hands it's fouled off. Slider finally gets that bat to start. That slider down and in can do that so many times on the hitter.
0-1 for Albers to Mark Teixeira, who's 0 for 3.
Always intriguing to watch how a pitcher tries to set up a hitter.
It's 1-1.
Yeah, I was talking, Brownie, an inning back about how Roy Halladay, a guy I got to watch for a while up in Toronto, was able to really lay it on these Yankees and Red Sox as they wanted to take. And of course, there's the big backswing catching the mask of Jason Castro. Always a bit of a problem, but Halladay would just pump strikes early and then bury the hitters, and they decided enough of this. They were going to swing.
1-2. Similar to that strikeout pitch on McCann. Albers broke that one down and in on Teixeira.
Yeah. As a left-hand hitter, people say, well, they love the down and in pitch. And in good part, it bears out a lot of times. But that slider that starts looking like a fastball around the knees and breaks under is so difficult to deal with. You see just the feeble effort. And again.
For a strikeout, number 3 for Matt Albers.
Yeah, that's a wicked slider down and in. Very effective tool.
Soriano. Soriano's 0 for 3. The double by Beltran to begin the inning. First extra base hit by a Yankee tonight. Good sinking action on that for strike one.
So you dive in the slider down and in on the lefty, and then you dive that sinker almost like you're seeing a left-handed slider coming toward the plate. Andy Pettitte has mixed in a few of those over his life.
Bet he has. He looked good tonight.
Well, he out by the batting cage on the field, and Andy looks terrific. Of course, he was a part of the pregame ceremonies.
0-2. Andy told the media he's spending a lot of time with his family right now at home in Deer Park. His couple of sons were playing ball.
Can Andy still bring it? I don't know if he's bringing it, but he can still throw strikes.
Cutter.
Is that the cutter? Okay. Always looked like a slider to me, but I'm not going to argue with a guy like that.
Good block there by Castro as that pitch veered to his right and then in the dirt.
That's do or die stuff right there. That's not in the standard category of you got to block this pitch. That's just getting it done by pure instinct. Great job.
Good looking play. Had that right arm clamped to his body to make himself a little bit wider.
See how the right side closes on toward the mound? That breaking ball breaking in that direction. You must turn the body in that direction, and vice versa on the other side.
Doesn't the ball come back to the left?
It does. So if you don't quite get to it, don't fret, because it's coming back at you a little bit because of the spin on that slider. But in order to keep the ball in front as a catcher, you've got to be turned, angled back toward the plate or toward the mound, however you like to look at it.
2-2 as Albers now has gone from 0-2 to this 2-2 count.
And it's so hard to practice that, because as you do, you're bringing baseballs to the plate, and they tend to find your forearms and your shoulders. And just a tough drill.
And now 3-2.
Well, you get out of this 8th inning without that leadoff double scoring, and you've done something.
Castro out to talk it over here. Boston won 6-2 at Baltimore. John Lackey the winner. Ubaldo Jimenez the loser in his Oriole debut. Mike Napoli hit a homer. Also David Ortiz. Swing and a miss, and Albers came right in and challenged him. There's a fist pump from the Houston-born right-hander. No runs, 1 hit, leadoff double, but a 0 for Matt Albers. And there's the strikeout of Soriano with the Astros up 3-1.
3-1. And on April 5th, 10,000 fans will receive an Astros gym bag presented by Houston Methodist, when the Astros take on the Angels. Visit Astros.com for more details and be sure to come early to get your gym bag, Brownie.
You'll get one of those. You're a workout girl.
That's right. That's where I put my running shoes.
Well, you get your miles in during the course of a 6-month season. You might need a couple pairs. Jonathan Villar leads it off in the home 8th inning against David Phelps. Runs up on it and takes it for a strike. He is 0 for 2. Phelps got the first 2 outs in the 7th inning, then gave up the Dominguez opposite field homer to make it 3-1 Houston. The Astros have been out hit by the Yankees 7-4. Yankees have left 8. The Astros have stranded 2. Yankees 0 for 10 with runners in scoring position. 0-2. Josh Fields warming up in the Houston bullpen a few minutes ago. Matt Albers has 4 strikeouts. He's faced 5 batters. Upstairs for ball 1 to Jonathan Villar.
Give up those leadoff doubles, and having a strikeout possibility is a big key. That strikeout of McCann to get the first out, and then Teixeira and Soriano. It's murderer's row there for the Yanks.
2-2. Yeah, just thinking that as they came to the plate with their credentials. These guys in the Yankee lineup, that is a challenge for any pitcher.
Yeah, it's a good lineup, and I think their starting staff has a chance of being really good. I think when the Yankees leave town 0-3, they're still a club that's going to be reckoned with.
3 balls and 2 strikes. Who do you think you are, John Montefusco?
The Count.
The Count of Montefusco. Wasn't he a beauty? He would predict that he was going to strike out Johnny Bench 4 times in a game.
How often did that work out?
It didn't work. But it was fun to observe what was going on with John the Count Montefusco.
You know, now that you bring that up, I think he actually did have some occasions where he was pretty darn close.
Yeah. Oh, he had some very good games. No doubt about it. It was never dull with the Count in San Francisco. Or Sesame Street, either one. Villar worked a walk. He was behind 0-2. And now he takes the second walk by a Yankee pitcher tonight.
Pretty nice when you can coax that walk after falling behind. For Jonathan Villar, maybe all the more impressive. A guy that was not inclined to draw a lot of walks a year ago.
New first base coach Tarek Brock welcomes a customer.
Call me T.
T. Brock. And Jeter backs up at shortstop to double play depth with Roberts. As Fowler bats, the throw goes over to first. Villar is a potential base stealer here. Last year he had 18 steals in 26 tries with the Astros. And then 31 in 38 tries with Oklahoma City. So a total of 49 stolen bases at AAA in the majors last year for Jonathan Villar. Fowler shows bunt, takes a strike.
It's intriguing. You have Fowler in the top spot. You would expect him to be the big base thief, and he is a guy who will steal some bags. But I think when you're talking about a guy more likely to run and maybe more likely to pick up the bag, I think it's Jonathan Villar.
That could be very big in this 3-1 game. He's going. Swinging a foul ball.
Pretty good jump, too. And with his wheels, when he combines the good jump with it, pretty fair chance he's going to be in there.
39 steals with Corpus Christi in 2012. Very aggressive player. Jonathan Villar. Fowler tonight is at a homer and a triple in 3 at-bats. And then in the 6th inning made a bid for a single to right field, but Roberts made a sliding play to retire him. Dexter Fowler was talking about patrolling that huge center field at Coors Field and what a physical toll that could take on an outfielder in a we'll say a 9 or 10 game homestand. That's a lot of running at altitude.
I wonder if Dexter Fowler were to continue stinging the ball the way he is, if there would be any inclination under certain circumstances to move him to the 3 spot in the batting order. I mean, I could see it working. I'm not trying to say this is where it should go. Jonathan VR has early success and maybe steals some bags. And, you know, there are other possibilities for the Astros the way this all could play out.
That's true. Knock him out looking. Second strikeout for Phelps. And Fowler has a few words for Phil Cuzzy.
Looked like a pretty good pitch. That fastball right to the inside edge area. The corners have expanded a bit. You see the running action back to the plate. Well, as a left-hand hitter, you quit on this pitch. It looks like it's going to be in your ribs at one moment.
You can set up right over that inside part of the plate. Now Robbie Grossman took a look down at Pat Listash, the third base coach. Robbie had a triple in the 6th inning, an RBI reaching on an error in the 3rd. He's 1 for 3 tonight. And a possible running game situation right here.
Yeah, for me, this is kind of why not. You're up by a couple of runs. You'd love to tack on to it. And the running game is a big part of who Jonathan VR is.
Robbie handles the bat well in this number 2 spot in the lineup. It's suited to his abilities. So goes over to first. Blue Jays won at Tampa Bay 3-0 on a shutout. Mark Burley got the win, beating Matt Moore. Brett Cecil picking up save number 1. You see the righty and lefty double-barreled warm-up action for the Yanks. Gardner, Roberts, Solarte due up in the 9th inning. The 7, 8, 9 hitters for the Yankees.
So you certainly don't want to walk anybody and get to the top of the order.
Jose Bautista, Joey Bats hit 2 home runs for the Jays. Runner going. Throw from McCann to Jeter. Safe. Stolen base for VR. And the pitch was ball 1, so it's 1-1.
McCann is a good throwing catcher, and he made this play close. VR, one of the guys that likes to dive in. We factor that throw as being right on the money, and they might have the shot. It left Jeter reaching for the ball and then having to reach back.
Jeter took that throw in front of the base. VR slid in. The Astros get their 2nd steal of the season. Jose Altuve got one last night. Now 1-1 to Grossman. Castro on deck. Yankees might want to bring in a lefty to face him. 2 balls and a strike.
Nice job by Robbie laying off that slider down and in that we've been talking about.
And he watches that one as it's called strike 2. 2-2 to Grossman.
See that little cutter from Phelps, and I ask myself, where was that learned? Was that picked up from Mariano?
Pretty good chance he asked a few questions about it. Inside to Grossman. It's a full count to Robbie.
Robbie obviously sees the baseball well. To do some of the things in terms of walks that he did on the minor league level. Without being a big power hitter, I would say that that's rather exceptional.
He looks at ball 4. That's a great job by Robbie Grossman.
Great guests, hot topics, and no holds barred debate. Kevin Eschenfelder serves it up every single night on Sports Talk Live at 5 p.m. only on Comcast Sportsnet.
The Astros last year were challenged to reach base. They had a .299 on base average for the team, 15th best in a 15-team American League. They have a chance to really improve on that this year. There's the pitching change now. Phelps leaving, and the Yankees will be facing Jason Castro. Joe Girardi wants a new pitcher. We'll get back to tell you about him right after this.
Boxes, and want to give you an update on the in-game live player of the game that we have. And so far, as expected, Dexter Fowler, he's still leading right now, 59%. Jared Cosart, not too far behind at 28%, but there's still time to vote. If you go on to csnhouston.com, click on in-game live, your choice for player of the game will be featured on Astros Post-Game Live. Brownie?
Thanks, Howard. Matt Thornton comes out of the bullpen for the Yankees. They trail the Astros 3-1 with 2 men on and 1 out here in the 8th inning. He'll be pitcher number 3. Thornton, the 37-year-old veteran, last year with the White Sox and Red Sox, was 0-4 with a 3.74 ERA and 30 strikeouts, 15 walks, and 43 1/3 innings.
He's been through the wars a bit. 607th career outing now.
Lefty on lefty with Castro, 0 for 2 with a walk tonight. Bouncer first, Teixeira. They'll take it to the bag as the runners move along to second and third on out number 2. On one pitch, Thornton gets an out, and now it's Altuve batting. Here's Carter on deck.
Gordon, one of those left-handers that's not what you call a cutesy kind of guy on the hill. He will just bring fastballs one after another on a lot of occasions, come right after the strike zone.
Altuve with first base open will get the intentional pass, and Carter will bat with the bases loaded and 2 outs.
You have to come to expect this when you're the cleanup man. Look at that shot. That's kind of priceless.
Yes, it is.
Ryan McCann towering over Jose. We're going to put this guy on.
Well, they're certainly exchanging a small strike zone for a large one here in this matchup, but Joe Girardi's going to want a different matchup on the mound. He wants to swing back to the right side with Carter 0 for 3 coming up next. Well, Thornton got the out on Castro. Then the free pass, and now a change is made by number 28. Yankee skipper. We'll be right back with the score, 3-1 Houston.
Wow.
Sportsnet's presentation of Houston Astros baseball is brought to you by AT&T. Rethink possible. Well, the Yankees making a move and bringing in their fourth pitcher, trailing 3-1 with the Astros batting with the bases loaded and 2 outs in the 8th inning. It's been a change also for the Houston manager, Bo Porter. Sean Kelly brings a right-handed arm to the mound, and with that, Chris Carter has been lifted, and the pinch hitter for him will be backup catcher Carlos Corcoran. A very interesting move for Bo Porter, one we are not used to seeing, but in this bases loaded situation, he has a good left-handed hitter at the plate and a guy who's been good off the bench.
Got to be confident you can stay away from the injury, but if you don't use the bat of Corcoran in situations like that, you're wasting a valuable bat, and so I applaud this move, and Castro has shown that he can stay healthy behind the dish.
First plate appearance of 2014 for Carlos Corcoran. Carter was 0 for 3. There's strike one. From Sean Kelly.
Well, the Yankees didn't stay right in that possibility of giving up the big swing right there. First pitch to Corp, they come breaking ball.
Corcoran drove in 20 runs and 191 at bats last year. And with the Astros getting 13 games out of the chute before their first day off, Jason Castro's activity will be measured some, so we expect to see Carlos starting a few of those games coming up. Sean Kelly, 29 years old, from Louisville. He went to Austin Peay. Grounder. Kelly cuts it off. Tosses him out. Bases loaded opportunity. And Kelly makes the big pitch to keep the score at 3-1 Astros, moving to the ninth. To see Josh Fields get the final 3 outs here to protect this 3-1 lead. He'll be pitcher number 5 for the Astros. Matt Albers did quite a job. He went an inning and a third, giving up 1 hit, no runs, no walks, 4 strikeouts, and he came back after the leadoff double in the 8th inning by Carlos Beltran to strike out the next 3. Fields took over it last season late as the closer. He was 5 for 6 in save opportunities.
He's got that big strikeout type arm. See the opposition hitters hit just 220 against him. Right-handers just 200. And during the spring, I would say I was thoroughly impressed. He looked like a guy that was basically trying to say, I want that closer's role. Some guys have a hard time stepping up for opportunities that might come along. In the case of Josh Fields, I thought he grabbed it.
And now he's trying to grab save number 1 of 2014. As it's the 7-8-9 portion of the Yankee lineup. Brett Gardner is 1 for 2 with a walk and a run scored tonight. Jared Cosart's first win of the year on the line. Dominguez in on the grass at third, and Krause is pulled in at first. He's even with the baseline. That's strike one for Fields. Old Porter telling the media before last night when he was asked who would be his closer, he said it could be Fields, it might be Qualls, it could be Albers. Last night there was not a save situation in the Astros 6-2 win. So Fields making his debut of 2014, throws that one high, and it's a 1-ball 1-strike count from the former closer at the University of Georgia. Josh, a Rule 5 pick of the Astros prior to last season. He had been a first-round choice of Seattle in 2008, traded to Boston then after that. It's a jam shot. Jonathan Villar, that pitch got in on the hands of Gardner, and it turned out to be out number one.
Well, for Josh Fields in the minor leagues, he had some work in that closer category. 31 saves compiled for the right-hander. So, yeah, he may be very comfy in this role.
Well, in 2012 at the Red Sox AAA club, Pawtucket, he had 4 saves. He got a save in the clinching game, which sent them on to the playoffs.
You know what? I blew that figure. That was this save opportunities, 23 saves overall.
And Roberts 3 for 3 as the number 8 batter. Yankees have 7 hits to the Astros 4. Ball 1.
He's got a real tendency, because he throws over the top and arches his back a bit, to be high with the heat. Remember Don Sutton's delivery.
Yeah.
Rick Sutcliffe had that same kind of delivery.
Fastball's fouled away. Fastball at 92 that time for Josh Fields. 1-1.
Guess I named a couple of guys who had a bit of success.
They did pretty well, didn't they? One Hall of Famer, the other guy had a solid career.
And he's well, both of them fine broadcasters. So, Josh, get ready for the day.
Well, he's 28. He might want to postpone that for a decade or so.
Don't worry about it for a time. It's that high heat, and you won't always get that call.
22 for Josh Fields. Last year in 38 innings, he struck out 40. Native of Hull, Georgia. Yankees, after going 0 for 3 after that leadoff double in the 8th inning, now 0 for 13 with men in scoring position and a strikeout.
But that high cheddar will pick up some strikeouts along the way.
Strikeout number 10 for Astros pitching tonight.
Yeah, going up the ladder on that third strike effort is not a bad ploy. Down to it, Brownie.
Hervis Solarte, the only man standing between Josh Fields and his first save of 2014. Crowd loving the show tonight from the Astros. 1 out away from clinching their opening series of the year. Solarte takes strike 1. It's been Cosart, Williams, Chapman, Albers, and Fields for Houston. These fans have watched that pitching quintet hold the Yankees to 6 singles and a double. Curveball tap foul, and it's 0-2. Well, this place was exploding last night with noise, and now the energy can be felt by the players. This team showing it's capable of creating energy with a crowd this year. Fly ball in play for the first sacker. Krause in foul territory, and that is it, as win number 2 to open the season comes Bull Porter's way. The Astros again beat the Yankees 3-1. A win for Jared Cosart, a loss for Hiroki Kuroda, a save for Josh Fields. Early hitting by Fowler, who had a couple of extra base hits. Dominguez added a home run. Quite a night for the Astros. Just as we promised earlier in the game, it's Miller time, brought to you by Miller Lite. Dexter Fowler hit a leadoff homer in the first, and then he chimed in with a one-out triple in the third. He scored 2 of the Astros' 3 runs tonight.
He is swinging with some thump in this bat, no doubt about it. And he's having some fun running the bases. The Astros also get the later home run by Matt Dominguez. So you hit with power, you pitch well. Yeah, you might win some games that way.
The Astros are 2-0 to start the season for the first time since 2003. 3-1 the final tonight.